Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Super excited for this big reveal of PoE 2. For real. The 1.0. I keep wanting to say O at the start. At the first. The 0.1.0. No, we had that. That was a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really wish YouTube would make it so that sharing a live URL is easier back end. They're like, no, actually you should go back to a page you're not looking at so that you can get the URL.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Alrighty. Cool.
Great.
Thanks.
The music has been going crazy here, too, in the, like, getting this stream set up period.
Yeah.
Been going hard.
Well, gotta keep the people entertained.
That's right.
Well, I recently beat the allegations of being a cat and an AI, and now I have to beat the allegations of existing at all.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
You're being accused of being a fictitious person.
Yes, I am.
That's a
Yes.
new one for me.
Yes, I'm being accused of a fictitious person.
Well...
I love how we're being blamed for someone's currency strategy, like changing or
Oh
whatever.
no! Live economy! Live service game. I mean, that is like a significant first of all, that is kind of a sign that a strategy is good when a significant chunk of the comments on the video about it are just people mad at you. You ruined my strategy. I'm so mad at you now.
Yeah.
Like, all right. Okay. Man, that's technically not banned. Being mad at me? That's allowed legally.
Oh, legally it is allowed?
Legally. What's up, Aralta?
Okay. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, we're a little late today. We ran a little late today.
That's right.
We had unfortunately, real life got in the way.
It sure did.
But we had planned to go live a little bit earlier so that we could chit-chat before Gamescom stuff came on. But, I mean, I guess we're still early.
Yeah, I mean, look, we still got here before things actually kicked off. But, yeah, you know.
True.
Real life happens. That's all right.
Yeah, you're right. In real life should be banned.
IRL should be banned.
So that I just don't have to do any of that adulting stuff.
Yeah.
It's very boring. I don't recommend it.
Oh, yeah.
Don't know why I was so eager to do it when I was a child.
Nope. No.
But
I mean,
now
look, I never was. I was never like, oh, I can't wait to be an adult. I was always very smartly like, I like being a kid. Being a kid actually rocks. Everybody was telling me horrible stuff to try and ruin my joy as a child. Oh, you'll have so many responsibilities. It'll be annoying. I'm like, you know what? You're right. That sounds terrible. No thanks.
incredibly. Someone's asking for an update for the Kineticist Merc.
Huh. I think we've had a couple of people ask for that. And what I would say to them, all of them really, is we're working on it. What I'll say to the stream people is that character is insanely strong. However, it's kind of in an in-between spot where it's like, it's very good. Clearly better than what we were playing before. But is it good enough to actually show to people? She's got stage fright. I think she needs a little bit more juice.
I gotta tell you, Twitch is really packing in the ad.
Oh, are they? Great.
They were like, hey, we realize you're a mod, but here's an ad. And then as soon as they played the ad, they did move the stream above the chat, so like at least you can still see what's going on in the stream. But
yeah,
they were like, here's this incredibly loud ad instead. And I was like, oh, actually, I don't want that. So I turned down the volume. Like,
yeah.
Okay. And then here's an
incredibly
quiet stream.
The nose. Yeah, I'm familiar with all of the ads. Oh, I've seen them play so much. Oh, it's quite annoying. What's up, Renatus? First time chat. Nice. The Skeleton Disco. God, we love that build.
I love that build.
We love that build. Yeah.
Love that build. That build is so much fun. And honestly, I just feel like it didn't even get enough love for as fun as it is.
I know. We did everything in the game, and it was, I mean, it's straight up so strong that it kind of like,
and then people
I don't want to
like,
say
are you
ruined.
going to update it? And it's like, where can we go from here?
What other mountains are there to climb? What else is there to conquer? It killed everything hilariously. Like, it is strong to the point that it kind of ruins a lot of other builds. Not every other build, but that's something that we always run into whenever we have like a really kick-ass build where we're just like, oh no, how am I gonna play this other thing when I have to give up like this incredible speed or utility or whatever else? Nice, we're getting the... This is a really good cinematic that they did for the showing off of the new guy, Swordman, the duelist.
But in the world, it is taken.
One thing that people have noticed and are really, really like freaking out about on the Reddit is there's been a lot of discussion of like, oh, does this character parry? And a lot of people who played it at Gamescom have been like, I love it. I love the parry mechanic. I think it's really fun. And then people are just having immediate like black and white flashbacks of doing parry on the Huntress and being like, no, oh no. So I think the thing with parry is, and I'm thinking about this from like a Sekiro perspective or whatever, I think parry for clearing and in maps and stuff, horrific, god-awful. For bossing, being able to intentionally take a hit and just parry it and take no damage and then do a bunch of extra damage, for bossing, super fun, super skill reward, like risk reward, skill-based, feels great. So, there are drops for this stream on Twitch. It is a All Flame League loot box, which is a pretty good reward. All Flame League loot box is pretty cool. Damn. Okay, see, this is what I was talking about with you yesterday. I'll say this for the people of the stream. I think I've reached the point mentally where I think PoE 2 is my favorite game now. Because every time we're doing the hype cycle build up for PoE 2, I am more excited for this than I am for the hype cycles for PoE 1, or for World of Warcraft, or for any other game. Thank you for the resub, Pablo. That's very kind. 12 months, my man. Very nice. What's up, Ollie? Good evening.
Hey, Ollie.
Yeah, I know this is going to be like a smaller stream for GGG. They've said that it's going to start in, I guess, 7.5 minutes, and then it's going to run right up to the race, which is only like 90 minutes from now. But, I mean, I think it's going to be like nice and tight, and I think we're probably going to get a lot of content in 0.5.5 since they have said they were committed to this whole 4-month cycle, and I think we all kind of knew they were going to break it to put PoE 1.0 out this year. But that has to mean that there's going to be a good amount of stuff in this patch, right? I guess we were going to talk about that. What do you think? Like more... You think more skills? I think they could add in more skills, realistically. I'd love to see some actual positive tuning to the maces. That's the main thing I've seen on the Reddit, aside from people getting terrified about the possibility of parrying on the new sword. It's just people being like, I've seen enough. Warrior class, maces, they need to be slower. They need to be nerfed again.
This Discord server seems laggy.
Is it? Oh boy. Alright.
How neat is that?
Well, it wouldn't be Discord if there weren't any lag.
That's better.
That's better.
Much better. Yeah, you were, partially robo-larreled for a little bit.
Robo-larreled. Great. Exactly. Maces hit too fast. They need to be capped at 1 attack per minute. Maybe even fewer than that.
Minute.
Yeah, they really need to be slowed down. I've seen enough.
I mean, if it's heavy enough, I guess you can only muster the strength to swing it one time a minute.
That's right. The thing that's so frustrating about maces is I just feel like they're an incomplete concept. I think once axes are added into the game, I think that'll kind of square the circle for them and make them make sense in a way where you're using axes for some things and maces for some things, and they kind of create a cohesive whole that makes sense. However, it's very possible that they add axes and axes are just what if maces were good. And that would be worse. I love Titan, the Ascendancy, so very much. I wish maces were better than they are. I still like Slam Titan. That's still been one of our more successful and it's very SSF friendly and I guess even hardcore friendly, technically.
And Korean friendly, evidently.
Korean friendly.
We have a big Korean audience for Slam Titan.
Korean approved, which is great.
Yeah.
However, I do wish they were just faster than they are. That's really what it is. Yeah, I feel like axes have to be bleed themed because it seems like there's a little bit of blood stuff with the swords, but not that much.
Agreed. Yeah.
So it's like, what's going to be bleed themed? It's got to be axes.
I mean, other things don't really make sense, but it is a game, so things don't always have to make sense. But GGG, I feel like, does their best to make it make sense. So
yes, they do. I would say, yeah. I agree with that.
I don't know what build they have in our build command because
I think it's Toxic Rain stuff. I think it's PoE 1 stuff.
Right now it is TRPF, but I'm just saying okay, I'll just leave it at that.
Dual two-handed axe Titan does sound amazing. That might be worth strength stacking for. What's up, Sonic? Everything's going good. Hello, Casual Andy. That's right, you got here just in time.
Andy.
For some incredible music from Camille, and just in time to get hyped. But yeah, I think this is it. I think this is the game for me.
This is the game. This is
the game.
The game. You had a game, but now then you didn't have a game. Now this is the game.
Now this is the game.
That's a Breaking Bad reference. So
Breaking Bad remix. That is just stuck in my head for years now.
I had a guy.
But now I don't.
Not the guy.
All right. So both of us, I think, since our last time hanging out on the stream, we both watched Better Call Saul in its entirety.
Yeah.
I have some problems with Better Call Saul that we don't have to go into. Clearly,
Look,
it's very good on a technical
Look at
level.
Ollie go.
Nice. That's a lot of streams. The cat band. Yeah, that'd be good.
We also recently learned that I don't exist. We are not a team, and I never talk anywhere.
Yeah.
So I'm not a real person.
I forgot. Yeah, apparently I pretend that I'm doing this with a bunch of different people so I can sound like I'm more important than I am. YouTube comment sections are fascinating. I also discovered yesterday this is one comment that I kind of pinpointed, and I'm not going to read it out or anything, but there's a certain type of comment of somebody who's like, I mean, I think we've always said the worst type of commenter is the guy who's very smugly like, well, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then they're saying something that's just like incredibly stupid and wrong, but they're being condescending about it. Like, duh, you idiot. Don't you know the earth is flat? No, don't you know that the bun goes inside the hot dog, you moron? Like, that's the worst kind of guy. But like one maybe close second or third or something is the person who's like, well, why didn't you try this? And then it's like, it's that classic tweet of like, check this out, idiot. And then I lift both of my feet up at the same time, falling on my ass and bonking my head. It's unclear what it was that I was trying to do. So they're doing like, well, actually you should do this. And then it's something that if they had tested it one time, they would know it doesn't work. Which is different from like the classic, does this work? No, it doesn't work. Okay, thank you for the information. That's a pretty normal exchange.
Yeah, actually.
But it's the, actually, you dummy. Why didn't you do this? And then it's just like I have a grocery bag on their head or something. I'm like, yeah, because it's bad.
Yeah. We'll get, I think the thing that's frustrating is I'm a bit more, I realize we have 1 minute left here, but
yeah.
I'm a bit more curious than to type that in anybody's comment section. So if somebody says, we do blank, I immediately like go to look at their profile and I'm like, who's we? And then I like figure out who we is.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it'll, usually that information's on their profile, like, oh, me and my friend Dave, we do blank.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay, it's this guy and his friend Dave, and they do things, and okay, now I know who we is.
And I'm just so terrified of being wrong publicly that I would never be like asking about something that I could like very easily check myself. But
yeah,
that's my paranoia of being
hi,
wrong
Healy.
Publicly. Also, hi Healy, and also 3 seconds, 2, 1, turn it up.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Rogers, Game Director on Path of Exile 2. And today I'm excited to show off our new class, the Duelist, which will be available in the 1.0 release on December the 11th. But for those of you who just can't wait until 1.0 later this year, after showing the Duelist, we'll also be showing off a new event based on the Ritual League called the Forbidden Rites, which will be releasing next week along with the 055 update.
It is
After all
next
that,
week.
A Q&A with Ziggy D to answer your questions from Twitch chat. But not only that, afterwards, we'll be going straight to the final qualifier for the PoE 2 races, the winner of which will be going to ExileCon in November to compete in the finals. But first, the Duelist. Now, the Duelist comes with a new weapon type that it's kind of crazy we didn't have: swords. And with each new weapon type, we want to make sure that the playstyle feels different to all the others. So what defines combat with a sword? To us, it's that feeling of flow, from attack to attack, and from stance to stance. And what better place to demonstrate the Duelist's abilities than the ruins of the Grand Arena? The corpses of the dead continue to fight endlessly as the arena collapses around them, and should you get to the center, you'll be able to face Thrax, their champion. The first mechanic we need to talk about is Ready Stance. After using some Duelist skills, you can keep holding the button to ready your blades for your next strike. Normally, your basic sword slash would look like this, but in Ready Stance it turns into a deadly AoE slash instead. Your Ready Stance also has the ability to be upgraded. This is Sand Scour, another Ready Stance attack, and if you stun enemies with it, you'll enter Sand Stance, and using this with your default attack will send out a Sand Disc. But default attack isn't the only ability that can be modified by your stance, like Perforate for example. This skill is a triple stab, where the third strike sends out drills, bleeding your enemies. But from Ready Stance, you can skip right to the drills. If you use it from Sand Stance though, it will send out a bunch of mini sand discs from every enemy it hits. Perfect for large packs. Together, these basic abilities give a very unique feel to sword combat. It's quite different than any other class we've made, flowing from ability to ability. There's also some abilities that you can use while in Ready Stance, without breaking it. A good example are War Cries, like this one, Intimidate.
Time to die!
Use it to deliver a cutting insult to your foe, intimidating them and causing your next attack to knock them off balance. Another great ability you can use already is Rending Dash. This movement skill slices through monsters, but since you stay in Ready Stance, it allows you to reposition to the perfect angle to strike. So far, we've been using Sand Stance to tackle these enemies. But what about blood stance? For that, we'll need to switch from two-hand to dual wield. Now with swords, we wanted to make sure that the different options of one-hand, two-hand, or dual wield each have their own interesting playstyle. So unlike other weapon types, dual wielding swords gives you the ability to parry attacks. Follow up with Bloody Blade
nice.
to enter blood stance. When using this one with default attack, you'll create a deadly blood wave, causing your enemies to bleed. And of course, blood stance will also work with other skills that benefit from stances. So use it with Perforate, for example, and you'll get a bunch of mini blood novas. Once your enemies are bleeding, you might want to try out Hemorrhage. This skill creates deadly blood slashes that drastically speed up the bleeding on your enemies. And once the enemies have built up enough blood loss, slice through them with a Rending Dash to consume all the blood loss for a giga bleed. Now,
I guess swords
skill we
are the
couldn't
bleed
have made
weapon.
the duelist without is Cyclone. It's an absolute fan favorite, and just like before, when using it, you can spin to win. But this class is all about using stances, so how about we try it with one of those? Use Cyclone from Sand Stance, and you'll be spewing sand discs at your enemies left and right. Great for AoE clear. Now, Parry also had a significant upgrade compared to before, and it's a lot more reliable now. But there's also another way to parry monsters that doesn't require waiting for them to attack you.
Okay.
By switching to a shield, you can now bash enemies straight out of ready stance to parry them without waiting for an attack. During the arena's heyday, challengers would first have to face deadly beasts to test their mettle, so why should it be any different now? Before you can face Thrax, you will need to defeat these dangerous adversaries to prove your worth.
Oh, definitely.
Another trick the duelist has up his sleeves are buried blades. Earthrend creates blades that slice through the ground towards your enemies, and once in the ground, these blades have a few uses. The first one of these can be done using Charged Slash. The basic version is a simple lightning-infused cleave, but do it from ready stance, and it changes into a deadly spin, sending out lightning projectiles. But Charged Slash can also be used with the buried blades. Hitting them will turn them into mini Tesla coils, dealing lightning damage to nearby enemies. It seems here we have a warrior who refused to die. I'm sure we could put his equipment to better use.
Okay.
Just a petty thief.
Quiet. I've no guilt in this.
You could also switch to a two-hander to plunge your blade into the ground, sending out a set of 3 blades that explode. But if you use Earthrend first, then you can get even more blades, and the blade plunge will make all of them explode. If you want an even greater field of blades, using Ready Stance with Earthrend has an interesting effect. Instead of creating one blade, it makes an entire wall of them. You can also hold the blade plunge skill to charge up the swords even further before they explode.
That seems pretty
Watch out
decent
those
for clear.
chimeras. So for maximum damage, use Ready Stance into Earthrend, charge them up with Charge Slash, and do a held blade plunge for a massive explosion. But that's not all. Blood and Sand work with the blade plunge too, to empower all your buried blades. Use it with Sand to generate continuous sandstorms around all your blades. And this can be a devastating combo to blend bosses. Or use it with Blood to create blood pools around each blade. Cycloning through the blood pools will add blood to your Cyclone, so that can be a fun option. But while we're talking about that, Cyclone counts as a storm, so it can pick up other elemental ground effects too. Blade Conduit will summon a bolt of lightning to your blade and create shocking ground, and cycloning through it will add lightning to your Cyclone. Combine it with the blood to get both effects. And of course it's possible to get blood, sand, ice, fire, and lightning all at the same time on your Cyclone. You guys will have to work out a good build for that yourselves.
Huh.
Already
they
you
added
can
this
see from
Weaver
just the
monk.
tools I've shown you.
They really
this class
did.
has a lot of interesting
Yeah,
combinations.
you note
of
he
ability.
didn't say poison.
With even
so.
just a few skills, there are a
R.I.P.
huge number of
poison.
options you can do in combat. Now before we get to the boss fight of this area, there's just one more skill I'd like to show you.
Thank you.
World Cutter. Charge it up and unleash the ultimate slash. But that's not all. Like so many of the duelist abilities, it can be further enhanced with Blood Stance, or Sand
No.
Stance too. Alright,
God.
so those are just a few of the tools the duelist has at his disposal. So So let's use them to face the true threat, Thrax, the champion of the arena.
Alright, let's watch this fight. This showcase has definitely been a lot more impressive than some of the other ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, poison chance on your gear, or maybe from the tree, could still make it usable, but with it being capped at
All right,
1,
what's
it's
up,
hard to
Ugly?
buy.
This guy's got a big ball.
He really
He wants
does.
to share it.
Yeah. The parry looked pretty good in the course of the boss fight, I thought.
Oof. Oh.
Yeah, that was chunking that boss pretty hard.
That looks pretty cool.
With the visual of the boss's orb being the only thing that actually like hits you, and you being able to dodge inside of it while it's spinning it around is very cool. Then leaving behind the flaming ground. That's a legitimately pretty impressive boss fight. And something else you'll notice that's maybe going to be the way that they'll make maces actually be good. You'll notice he is building up basically no stun at all.
I wish I had a fireball to swing around.
Yeah. There we go. There's the stun. And we get the big chop. Pretty good looking hit. Very cool aesthetically.
Alright,
Wow.
So that's a taste of what we have in store for the Duelist. It's
Alright,
my
so
favorite
it's got
class
some
I've ever worked on.
finishers.
That's a good
It
candidate
provides
for
a really
MTX.
dynamic combat experience that's just quite unlike any other
Oh.
ARPG. But we also want
Veronica
to show what kind
is
of
a
possibilities
guy
there
drops a
are for the
woman.
Duelist in the endgame. To do that, I'll hand things over to Mark.
Hi, I'm Mark Roberts, Game Director on Path of Exile. Today, we're going to go through 2 in-game builds that we've put together for the Duelist made by
Hi,
our
Mark.
developers.
There we
Our
go.
first build is called the Bringer of Blades, a mighty name once feared in the arena. This build is all about rising buried blades from beneath the ground. Some say each sword created by this build is from a foe slain in battle in the gladiator arena, and from the afterlife, they offer their sword back to you in respect. The bread and butter of this build uses Earthrend, supported by the lineage support Calm's Madness, to maximize the efficiency of creating buried blades.
Oh.
It combines that with the Blade Conduit skill, to charge up all the blades with lightning. You can also use the Astral Projector support on it to be able to do so from ranged, if you want to minimize risk and place shock ground underneath your enemies. We
That
also
looks
have
really
Earthrend
good.
supported by Electrocute, so that we can keep the enemies crowd controlled. Then it's just simple. Spam
Me too,
Earthrend,
Medic.
occasionally
We
using
both
Blade
do.
Conduit to refresh the charged lightning on all the blades. For stronger enemies, or larger packs, we want to be able to get sand stuns. The best way to do that while clearing is using Combat Frenzy. Simple, now you're generating frenzy charges. With those, we can use Sand Scour to enter sand stuns. And from sand stuns, use Blade Plunge to cause sand discs to appear on all of our many buried blades, covering the screen in storms of sand. Of course, you want to use eroding sands too, because as the sand discs are doing many small hits, you want to make sure enemies have as little armor as possible for maximum damage. Alongside that, since we're doing lightning damage, we're also going to throw in the new support Sandstorm, which causes our sand discs to become infused with lightning. The other tool we're using is this support, which causes all your buried blades to add miniature auras that give you damage. To double down on that further, we have this new passive skill Notable, which also causes your buried blades to make you angry, causing you to generate rage on hit while near them. With those, we want even more buried blades. So, let's take it to the extreme. And for that, we have this skill, Rain of Steel, which allows you to call down a whole ruckus of swords, covering
Ruckus
the entire
count?
battlefield
One?
in buried blades.
Also true, Ollie.
It's pretty obvious
Lightning,
what
for
to
that
do
reason,
next.
is way
Just
less
use the
resource
existing
intensive than
combos,
fire.
Rockets of
and the
swords,
entire
you
screen
say?
becomes surging with
Damn.
lightning
rain of
as
things?
sand discs run
A
wild.
rain of swords?
Yeah, that looks cool as hell.
There's more coming even still.
That looks so cool.
Alongside the
Sword?
duelist, we've made
Yeah.
a whole bunch of new epic swords.
Look,
I
look
mean,
at that one.
just
Look
at
at
them
that
all.
one with the stars.
This build in particular uses this sword, which causes all your buried blades to be enhanced by Karui magic and become ancestrally boosted.
Huh.
Then, take these new passive skill notables,
Okay.
specifically for boosted attacks, to improve your efficiency even further. There's a few new ways to boost attacks with the duelist, and we're excited for you to discover and integrate them into your builds. With all that combined,
Alright.
look at this actual mayhem.
Damn, that is
Now,
some real boss
We
damage.
tried to not use unique items on this build, as we wanted to show its potential with just standard gear and skills. But this next one is a different story. So, let's move on to our second build. Here we have the Scourge Walker. For this build, we wanted to do Cyclone with a twist. For that, we're going to use some uniques, starting with a new sword being introduced alongside the duelist, Oro's Sacrifice.
Nice.
This
So we're
sword
getting
grants a
fire
ton
and
of
bleed.
fire damage,
Yeah.
at the expense of your physical damage, and grants a new skill called Infernal Step. Infernal Step itself is pretty fun, and pretty epic. Use it as you flicker around, burning enemies as you strike them.
Love that camera
Be
angle.
wary though, there are both upsides and downsides to using this skill consecutively. Each use gains you a stack of Sacrificial Flame. While this isn't inherently a downside, using Infernal Step while you have Sacrificial Flame causes you to take fire damage, and the more you have, the more you take. So you want to make sure you mitigate as much fire damage taken as possible. In order to do this, we're using even more uniques. Like these, which have received some changes. Molten Tenet and
We're
Zoth's
getting an
Blood.
actual flicker strike.
Then we've just
Hell
gone
yes.
and used good armor gear in our core armor slots to stack up as much defense as possible. So, what about damage? We're doing a few things here that are pretty out there. Given we're using Oro's Sacrifice, we're dealing purely fire damage. However, we still need to be able to bleed for some huge DPS you'll see soon.
Nice.
To do that, we're using this unique ring, Blistering Bond.
Oh yeah.
This allows our fire damage to scale bleeding, instead of physical damage. Our last unique is Barrack's Respite. As said originally, we want a Cyclone, which is a
Damn.
wind skill, and can benefit from elemental ground surfaces. Now, our Cyclone is a fiery vortex.
And it
One
bleeds.
last thing to note
That
before
rocks.
showcasing our Scourge Walker in action is that Oro's Sacrifice also grants you frenzy charges while at maximum sacrificial flame. This will allow us to fold Bloodied Blade into our rotation between Cyclone sessions to get Blood Enhanced Cyclone. Alright, now you
Yeah,
can see
you
our
would think
basic
they'd have
rotation.
Avatar in there probably.
First, we use Infernal Step a few times. Then, once we have a frenzy charge, we use Bloodied Blade. This puts us in blood stance. And then it's simple. Cyclone away. As you can see, we have the perfect harmony of demonic powers. Blood and fire fill the screen. Honestly though, we need to add some horror and flesh to the build to really embrace the fantasy. For that, let's use this new support gem, which we will put on our Cyclone. Given we're already bleeding, this can cause enemies to shed chunks of flesh when hit, which explode after a short delay. Check out this ruckus.
Ruckus count 2.
Oh, and while we're at it, let's add even more fire by using the Fan the Flame support. At this point, you can already see how much this is getting out of control.
Now this
I
will
love it.
chunk your GPU.
You may
Oh my
notice
god,
we
look
have
at
an
that
excess
clear
of
though.
frenzy charges. So, you want to throw on Echoing Strikes, which consumes all your frenzy charges to cause our next Cyclone to create a bunch of Cyclones.
Now that's some
Feel
clear
free to
right
add
there.
Infernal Cry to the mix, cause why not? Okay, well it's already pretty damn strong, but we can push it further. What about single target? For that, we're going to make use of our second
Oh, yeah.
weapon set.
I
and
just
use
heard a million
one-hand sword
GPUs
and
cry out
Targe,
in terror
which
and then were
grants
suddenly
parry.
silenced.
However, instead of using a regular Targe, we're going to use this Runeforged Targe. which grants us a special version of parry that maintains its stances when used. So if you are in blood stance and use it, you will remain in blood stance afterwards. This includes while using the dashing parry that Jonathan mentioned earlier. We are going to want our parry debuff duration to be as long as possible, so we can spend more time spinning. To get that, we're using another new sword base type. This one adds base duration to parry. We've also then invested into as much parry duration in this weapon set as possible on new passives on the tree. Now, we can make this even better by using a new support that allows our parry to apply armor break. And to get it to benefit from our fire damage, we will anoint the Molten One's gift on our amulet. Now, our armor break causes enemies to take extra fire damage. So now, we just get into blood stance using Bloody Blade, use parry, which dashes in, keeping us in blood stance.
Damn,
then
man.
we
That's
cyclone
some
our
boss
way to
damage
glory.
right there.
Don't forget to also
real.
use echoing strikes once you get enough frenzy charges. I mean, just look at this damage.
No kidding.
You may have noticed we didn't show any Ascendancy classes. That's right, these builds weren't even Ascended, so their build potential goes so much higher. And the Ascendancies are pretty epic. Here's some art to tease them. But to find out more about that, you'll have to check them out when we show them at ExileCon later this year.
Wow.
We hope you enjoyed our Duelist demonstration. We're really excited to have you get your hands on it and start slicing and dicing throughout Rayclast. Now, Path of Exile 2's full 1.0 launch is later this year on December 11th.
That did
But
look
if you
like a
just
champion
can't wait
to
till
me.
then, next week we are doing our 055 update, and it includes a bunch of changes as well as a new event. Given that, it's finally time to talk about Forbidden Rites, a new
Woo!
event based
Trial
on
of
the
Chaos
Ritual League
rework.
that will be starting with our 055 patch next week. But that's not all. We also have a massive overhaul to the Trial of Chaos, some new in-game Abyss content, and more.
New
So,
Wildwood.
let's dive straight into it. The King in the Mists and his cultists, left unchecked, have spread their influence. By his will,
man is
the
dancing.
Nameless have been performing gruesome rituals throughout Rayclast, all the way from the forests of Ogum to the deserts of the Maraketh, and even Utsal and the Karui Islands, afflicting everything around them with a foreboding darkness. As you can see, they've been quite successful in their efforts, and if not stopped soon, who knows what will become of Rayclast. During the Forbidden Rites event, your goal is to put an end to their nefarious plans. In each area of the campaign, you'll find a ritual encounter. For those unfamiliar, these are effigies that are guarded by the Nameless and their servants. By defeating them within the ritual site, you can then activate the effigy and fight them
That's
again
right, Ollie.
as they are revived by dark magic, all whilst various plagues will try to kill you. Defeating the revived monsters causes their blood to go to the effigy to be used as tribute. After the encounter, use the tribute you earned to acquire rewards. These rituals, unlike their in-game counterparts, will not exclusively reward unique items, and instead will give you a bunch of items useful for leveling, like currency for
Okay.
crafting your gear
That's useful.
alongside a bunch of equipment. Ultimately, in every area, you get to kill some monsters and then go on a small shopping spree.
Patch 0.5.5 is
However,
going to be next week.
We know people liked having unique item rewards from
1.0
Ritual,
will be December
and we
11th.
wanted that to still be present in the campaign, but we just couldn't give one out in every single area.
Nice.
Throughout each act, 2 times, and once in each interlude part, you'll see these clusters of more epic ritual effigies on the world map. When you reach these areas, you'll notice that unlike normal, the effigies aren't just in a random location in the area, but they're on top of the area's boss fight. By completing these boss rituals, the boss will then be carried forward and added to the next ritual in the cluster in the next area, where you'll face it as part of an increasingly dangerous series of boss waves. For example, the first cluster you'll encounter is shown here, containing large effigies in Clearfell, Mudburrow, the Growlwood, and the Grim Tangle. If you complete the ritual in Clearfell, the Hag boss will appear during the ritual in the Mudburrow, alongside the Devourer. Once you've completed that area, the ritual in the Growlwood will include Brambleghast, alongside the Hag and the Devourer.
It seems extremely difficult for the campaign. Really putting the pain in campaign, I guess.
Then, to top it off, when you get to Grimtangle, the ritual in that area will have its boss, the Rotten Druid, and the previous 3, totaling 4 boss fights in one epic final showdown.
And then
That's
your
where
reward
the
will be a
unique rewards
1
come into play.
chant
By
shard
completing
unique.
these epic boss
Yeah.
ritual encounters, you then get to spend your tribute on unique items. Given ritual is the content of the league, we wanted to make sure it worked in multiplayer well. Historically, only the creator of the area gets to spend tribute at the end, while your friends just have to watch. We've made some improvements to
sucks.
this experience. In 055, every party member earns their own tribute and can spend it on their own rewards, so no one has to miss out.
True.
In order to make it not too rewarding in groups, we've restricted it so party members are unable to reroll the shop and they have fewer options available to choose from. So, that's the campaign and a multiplayer improvement. But what about the endgame? Given that ritual was already available to be added to your maps, well, once you reach the endgame, you'll still have ritual encounters in every area, and they'll still give unique items and omens, but we've added one extra mechanic here to add new difficulty and reward heights.
Alright,
to
I'm a
in-game
little
maps.
concerned to see grenades be on the menu
After
here. That makes
completing
me worry
rituals
they're
in
gonna get
endgame,
nerfed.
you want to keep an eye out for this item, a Sacred Bloom,
Oh shit!
which you can spend tribute on to acquire. If you happen to find one, you can then use it and apply an entrance to the Wildwood to an in-game map of your choice on the Atlas. Then, when you enter that map, you'll find this entrance at the start of the area. By entering it, you're sent into the
Hell
Wildwood.
yes.
You
Hell
have limited time
yes.
here, but while in the Wildwood, you can find wisps, and you want to follow the trails of them and collect as many as possible. There are 3 different types of wisps: primal, vivid, and wild.
And
When you
rarity's
then have
actually
to
good
exit
in
the
this game.
Wildwood, the
So
wisps are
purple's
free
not a
and are
brick.
spread across the map, possessing and influencing many monsters. Primal wisps, when freed, can cause normal monsters to become magic monsters.
And they look
Vivid
really
wisps,
cool.
when freed, can add additional modifiers to rare monsters. And wild wisps add rarity of items dropped to all monsters. If you're rarely lucky, keep an eye out for these sacred wisps. I wonder what they do.
Oh
Of
boy,
course,
I bet
you
they had
can gather all
want
3
rarity
types of
to unique
wisps
monsters.
if you really want to juice your maps.
Yeah.
And by using ritual tablets, you can increase the amount of wisps found while in the Wildwood. Be
Hell
warned though,
yes.
while affected monsters drop better items, the wisps also empower them, making them considerably more difficult to defeat. So, that's the Forbidden Rites event. While it isn't a full league in the traditional sense, it gives you the perfect opportunity to start in a fresh economy. For
I was
those of
just
you who
half
enjoy
league
having
even
clear goals
juicier
to
than a
work
regular
towards,
league.
this event league
Yes.
also introduces a new set of 8 challenges. These include completing the campaign rituals, defeating named rare monsters, reaching level 90, and more.
Alright.
Completing them will earn you 4 exclusive cosmetic rewards and a statue for your hideout to commemorate your success.
Damn, that statue looks insanely
Swarm your
cool. That's
enemies
way
with
better
the
than the
locust
totems.
footprint effect.
Whoa.
And send your foes
They've
scurrying
gotta
to their
nerf
demise
Gemling, right?
with the
I mean, I
locust
hope
swarm
not, but,
finisher effect.
You know.
Fear the dark no longer with your Wildwood Guardian pet at your side, and level up in fashion with the Wildwood Affliction level up effect.
Okay.
Next, let's talk about the Trial of Chaos. Since Early Access launched, we've received a lot of feedback about the Trial of Chaos. It was just obvious that it wasn't good enough. So we've gone through pretty much every part of this trial and made improvements across the board. There's so much to cover here, so let's just fire away with some of the more important changes. Starting
love
with a
this.
banger. You can now leave the Trial of Chaos between rooms and resume later at your leisure.
Oh, thank God.
Alongside improving almost every aspect of the encounter types, we've made far more of the rooms just about slaying all the enemies, instead of the more
Also
specific
good.
objectives like escorting the statue or implanting soul cores. We've increased the size of that pesky elevator and made them more responsive. We've made the doors between rooms open quicker and from further away. We've shortened the distance between rooms to have less running. we've added a lot more inherent scaling to the area and to the Trial of Secumus too, to account for the lack of Atlas Tree. We've made the Trial Master only time freeze to spawn in all the monsters once at the start of the run, instead of in many of the rooms. On top of that, we have done a full pass on all the modifiers, making them significantly less dangerous at lower tiers, and rising to the same difficulty at their maximum tier. Additionally, all the modifiers now grant bonuses to item rarity too.
That's super
The
cool.
modifiers now also have better descriptions, being more explicit about what danger you're signing up for. We've also added a new kind of modifier, called a wager modifier.
Huh.
These are meta mods that can significantly increase the danger and reward of your trial. For example, this one increases the tier of every modifier already applied to your run, but in exchange for that, doubles all the currency you've earned so far in the run. There's about a dozen of these, and they have some pretty interesting effects. Sometimes you want to apply them early in the run, other times late. They add a very cool dynamic element to the mod selection between rooms. The Uxmal the Beast Lord boss fight in the Trial of Chaos has had its arena redesigned entirely.
Oh, thank God.
Less flying,
thank
more
God.
attacking. The more significant elite monsters that spawn during the Trial of Chaos are now more dangerous, but more rewarding. Speaking of rewards, you can now also find these chests between each room to get some bonus items for your efforts. And the rewards available when choosing modifiers no longer offer random corrupted items, now exclusively offering only currency items and soul cores. Oh, and we've done a full balance pass on those too, to make them more powerful, alongside adding some new ones to the trial and endgame.
Oh, nice.
Speaking
Damn,
of the
man.
trial and endgame, for
That
those
is
looking for a greater
extensive.
challenge, you'll no longer need to have to stop after 10 rooms. You can now continue all the way to room 30, with the difficulty and rewards escalating as you progress. Combined with the previously mentioned wager modifiers, the rewards of these runs can get very, very juicy.
4 divs. That's pretty good.
Reaching these later rooms will also allow you to obtain all 3 Trial Master fragments in a single run, giving skilled players a clear and reliable path towards facing the Trial Master rather than leaving their progress entirely to chance.
Huge.
We've moved the functionality of the wager currency mechanic from magic inscribed ultimatums that could drop from the Trial Master into the base mechanic. This
Very
can
smart.
be accessed at the end of every 10th room. Overall, this is a much more polished version of the Trial of Chaos, and we think it addresses many of the concerns players have raised over the past several months.
It hits every single issue I
When
had.
we introduced the new endgame and Return of the Ancients,
Damn.
we wanted the journey through the fortress to feel epic, and it was. But your first time progressing through it, it is a massive undertaking. With a fresh economy, we wanted to make the fortress easier to complete. So in 055, we're making some changes. After completing the main questline, you can now just venture out of the fortress and find another Arbiter of Divinity key. By defeating this more difficult version of the boss, all remaining sections of the fortress will be automatically completed.
Oh, that's much better. 1 rekill
Now,
of the Arbiter of
onwards to
Divinity instead of
Abyss.
like 4.
We're introducing a new Atlas feature centered around it. We wanted to add more things to find when exploring the Infinite Atlas. So, we've added these new abyssal ravines that can appear.
Nice.
Each map on the ravines has abysses in it, and as you complete each along it, the next map gets more and more rewarding as you push
Oh,
the
that's
Abyssal
sick,
Legion
actually.
back. When you reach the last map on the ravine, you'll have a guaranteed Abyssal boss encounter. The Forbidden Rites event will not have Runes of Aldo content in each area. But fret not. Pharaoh, Danig, and Expedition content is still going to be available in the Atlas as core.
Yeah,
and that
that's
includes
awesome.
standard leagues. You can now continue to find expeditions in-game, but from Act 4 onwards.
That's perfect.
In the
Yeah, that's a
endgame,
perfect place to put it.
Expedition tablets will now be available,
Huge.
allowing for some
Actually
new
huge.
levels of investment into the league. Such as having 2 full expeditions in just one area,
Awesome.
alongside up to 2 standalone remnant encounters. With tablet mods, you can now even get many sentries per expedition, resembling an almost sentry minion build as you run around and apply runic modifiers to monsters across the maps. The existing Runes of Elder League will continue to run, so if you want to keep playing there, finishing your endgame and completing challenges, feel free to do so. So that's all our new content summarized for this Event League and 055 update. In case you didn't see it alongside Path of Exile 1's release for Curse of the Allflame, here's a reminder to check out our supporter packs and mystery box that release with it, which are now fully available for use in Path of Exile 2 as well.
I love that they're
These
doing
include
that.
the Plague
Putting all the stuff in both
and
games.
Remedis supporter packs, and the Curse of the Allflame mystery box, with some epic
That's a
items
very cute
including
little
armor
otter.
sets, weapon skins,
And he has a
weapon
gift.
effects,
Yeah.
map devices, hideouts,
They're just absolutely
A new
crushing it
tracking
on all
scroll,
fronts. Man,
some
they're
otters,
just doing such a good job.
and much more. If you would like to purchase the Curse of the Allflame mystery box, it's available now through the in-game shop and Path of
Yeah.
Exile 2 website.
Well,
For more information,
if it had
head to
just been one of those things,
pathofexile2.com
it would have been like, that's a
mystery
pretty
box
good
for all the
mid-league
details.
event, you know?
We'll
The-
also be releasing some cool new
Trial
armor
of Chaos.
sets and skill effects alongside
I
this
believe
release.
I saw Akuma,
Check these out.
the Tekken
If
character.
you're interested, keep an eye out on the store with the new release. Thanks for your support.
Nice.
Now, we had originally thought we were going to deploy a much larger balance pass in this patch. But
Oh, it's not a
unfortunately,
nerf patch.
with all the other work going on for our 1.0 release,
Hell yeah.
we were not able to get these changes ready in time. It's been a lot more work than we expected. So rather than deploy something substandard, we decided it would be better to take our time with the balance changes and just release the Event League anyway. All those balance changes that were slated for 055 will now be happening in 1.0 instead. The full release patch is shaping up to be a huge one, and if you haven't done so yet, you can acquire exclusive milestone rewards just by signing up at pathofexile2.com for the 1.0 full release.
Yeah, we got to get more people
Also,
signing up for that.
We hope
That
you
4
join us for
million sign up
ExileCon
is the
on
flaming
November
pig.
7th New Zealand time to see what else we've been cooking up. But in the meantime, we hope you enjoy the Forbidden Rites event, which starts at the end of next week. See you in Rayclast. We're just about to start the Q&A with Ziggy D. So get your questions ready.
I'm a little scared for 1.0 with that announcement that they're going to make 1.0 be the quote-unquote nerf patch. they can't, they're not going to botch the game with 1.0, so I'm not worried about it. It's fine. But what this means is all the builds that we loved from last season, like Grenade Gimling and Everything Gimling is the best build in 0.5. Just play it and have fun with the 055 event, I guess. Skeleton Disco. Skeleton Disco's awesome. Slam Titan's still really fun on $0 budget. What
Big
else?
votes for Skelly Disco. Very easy.
Huge. Yeah, huge Skeleton
Very
Disco,
easy.
huge.
Very fun.
Twister Elemental, yeah.
G'day and welcome back, Exiles. I'm joining you from around the
It's a
world.
personal
I'm
preference
Ziggy
type
D in
thing.
Australia. We've got
yeah.
Jonathan over at Gamescom, and we've got Mark in New Zealand. So we're all over the place this time, coming at you remotely for some Q&A to talk about what we saw with the Duelist today, the 0.55 event update, and various other little questions that you might have in a bit of a mini Q&A session. Thanks for joining us from all over the place, folks. Jonathan, you're at Gamescom at the moment, where some lucky folks are able to actually play the Duelist. How's it been going?
Absolutely. So yeah, it's honestly been great. It's really good to see players just being able to play and experience the game. It's always fun. But my voice is actually a bit screwed right now because I've been kind of yelling over the loudness of the Gamescom. Trying to explain complicated Duelist mechanics. In yelling form. So my voice is a bit messed up. So hopefully you guys can forgive that. But yeah, it's always fun talking to to players and journalists and seeing what they think.
Yeah, have you been able to get some good kind of in-person feedback there, since you're right there with people as they're playing?
Yeah,
the
for
class
sure,
for the first time?
absolutely. I mean, yeah, it's great. We've also got Kevin, who's been one of the designers, doing working on the Duelist as well. He's been able to get direct feedback, talk to players as well. It's been really good.
Awesome. And Mark, you're over in New Zealand, where you were just working on the endgame builds that you showcased in that video there, which were pretty spicy. How are things going over there in the studio?
Well, I'm at home right now, but it's been pretty hectic. Just putting it always is for these deadlines, just pulling everything together. But yeah, these in-game builds we just had to put together in the last, honestly, honestly, it felt like the last week really is when I was like, okay, we've got to theory craft some epic shit. Let's put it together. And came up with, I said made by developers. Technically that is true, but I kind of theory crafted both of them and was like, let's get cranking. And they both seemed pretty fun. I mean, they were definitely fun to play. Hopefully they were fun to watch, but there's a lot more.
They're
as
sick
well.
as hell
So
to
there's
watch.
like,
Yeah.
good dozen builds I had in mind, and I was like, oh, we were going to go with them, and we're going down a whole bunch of different paths, and it just kind of ended up. I was like, I want to do something traditional that uses a bunch of swords and something demonic, because why not? So it was quite interesting that I ultimately just got to pick a fantasy and then make it happen. But of course, the difference between me making builds and players making builds is you have to make a build with what works, whereas I make the build and then I'm like, go and make it happen, development team. Thank you. So
change the balance until it works, basically.
Yeah.
Make this a thing. Well, you certainly have a lot to work there with the Duelist. There is a lot going on there. I know, Jonathan, you personally were just telling me earlier that you're like very excited for the Duelist in particular, and that it's the most fun that you've had with the game so far, or something to that effect. What is it like that you love about it?
I really love this class. Like, I really love melee combat in games. Like, it's something that I really enjoy. And this one really, honestly, I would say finally kind of delivers something that I would say is like peak melee in an ARPG. Like, I honestly really love it. But also just there's so many intricacies to the skill design in this class that's really interesting. Like, I don't think we've ever sort of woven so many different ways to kind of do mechanics with all the different with all the different skills. Like every skill is like designing 3 or 4 skills, honestly, just due to all the different ways that you can use them. But at the same time, it's like it's all quite diegetic, by which I mean like you kind of like there's metal in the ground, you electrify it, and now it's like zapping things and things like it's like it's all kind of obvious in some ways, but also kind of complicated too because there's just so many ways you can use everything.
There's a ton of nuance to it, but even so, I had a chance to play it last time I was visiting, like a couple months back, and there's some sort of intuitiveness to how the skills end up working together, where you can almost play without reading some of those descriptions. I think, which is good because there's a lot of descriptions you did have to write for those. Given the
it's actually kind of interesting in the studio because the people who are more, I guess, stat focused are actually the ones that feel the class is more complicated and the ones who just like take it as they see it. Because if you look at the number of stat sets, it is kind of crazy because you'll have like, it's like you've got a buried blade explosion and then you've got to be like, okay, then buried blade when it's got electricity and then buried blade explosion with electricity, with electricity, right? Or versus just the electrical hits. And it just ends up being like half a dozen stat sets on every skill that you, which is what we call the different tabs that you see on the skill gem. So if your first experience of the game is like looking at the skill gem hovers and like looking at every single stat set, then you're not necessarily in for as good of a time as if you just like try out the skill and see what it does. I guess that's sort of quite different than what a lot of our skills have been like in the past. But I honestly really love it just because there's so many interesting ways to use the skills.
I think that's our favorite type of build in PoE, one where incredibly complicated setup to just hold down right mouse button and everything dies.
How challenging is designing this one and getting it to work and be playable in that way, being, say, compared to the Huntress and the Druid?
Well, I'll tell you what, this is one of the hardest classes to design, and a lot of it was like, okay, swords are pretty much the most generic weapon ever, right? And you ask like 10 different people what a sword does, and they'll give you 10 different answers. Like there are certain fantasies, and we kind of had to make sure we were delivering like pretty much anyone's fantasy of a sword, and there's like quite a few different ones, right? So, you have to go through. But I think the kind of like thing that ties it all together is that to me, swords are about like the kind of that flow feeling. That's what I kind of wanted to nail, and that's where the whole sort of ready stance thing kind of came from. So it took a lot of iteration to get there. I went through so many different designs of the way that swords could work. And eventually it's funny because the whole blood and sand thing wasn't even part of the initial design. And at some point I realized that some of the stuff that we were designing was coming kind of close to that. And I'm like, oh yeah, hang on. In PoE 1, we've got this blood and sand theme. What if we actually took that and like effectively used that theme on top of some of the mechanics we were designing? And then it all kind of really rapidly came together after that. Like we suddenly realized like, yeah, this is sort of the feel, like the theme of like physical stuff that we can go with for the Duelist. And it ended up working really well. So I'm really happy with where that ended up.
Yeah, the stance thing in particular, I remember when I was trying it, like, and you're talking about flow and how important that was. And I remember I was having an issue where I really wanted to get into ready stance and then move to the next monster to execute my next skill.
Right.
But that would break ready stance. But I noticed that that's something that you've solved in the new iterations. You've got this way that can even carry through now.
Yeah, so since you played that, we added the idea that there are some skills that you can use without breaking ready stance, and in particular, the rending dash that you can use to sort of dash from one place to another. Having that be an option that you can do without breaking ready stance sort of allows for that repositioning that you can do, and it honestly speeds up quite a lot what you can do. I didn't use it that much in the in the demo that I was showing, but for actual like practical play, I highly recommend using it because you know, if you're someone who likes to zoom around, then using that skill can really add quite a lot to what you're doing.
I think people are probably a little bit confused in general about like the ready stance and the blood and sand as well. So how do those just effectively work ultimately?
Yeah. So fundamentally what you've got here is that there are two different, at least two that we showed, ready stance skills. One of them kind of moves backwards as more defensive, and that's the sand one. If you stun a monster with that, then it's going to put you in sand stance. The other one is moving forward, more aggressive, and that one, if you hit a parried monster, it's going to put you in blood stance. So if you're into the sort of parry gameplay early on, then blood is the one for you. If you're more into, you know, if you're not into that, then using the sand one is like more your style. Then you can go that way. But all of it is bypassable with frenzy charges as well. So one of the questions that we often get is like, oh, you know, what if I don't want to parry? What if I don't want to do the stun stuff? And frenzy charges effectively act as your bypass. So as Mark showed in one of those builds there, yeah, combat frenzy is like a good way to be able to kind of like, you know, get those stances without that. But there's even other ways as well. So there's also support gems that allow you to get blood and sand without having to even do either of those skills as well, and like quite a few different options. Like there are actually a huge number of different options that
Got a couple
really
uniques
love
as
it.
well. We've got at least
yeah.
one sand stance unique and one blood stance unique right now that weren't shown.
And then there's also the thing of getting blood on the ground as a way to get blood on things like Cyclone. I actually didn't realize this was going to happen, but in one of my demos, I had one of those vampire monsters from Act 1, and it's like use one of those blood pools on the ground, and that actually triggered the blood. And I had no idea that we actually had done that even. Like, I didn't realize that those blood pools technically were the same mechanic. So yeah, you can like get blood-coated Cyclone from just playing against
That's
one of those
pretty
vampire
awesome.
monsters.
It's really cool that
Well,
they
that sort of touches on one of
actually
my other
are
questions then. So like some
not
people,
just
I
playing
think,
the
especially
game.
people who maybe just played a little bit of parry when Huntress first came out, and
Hold
obviously
on.
since then it's changed quite a bit. But about parry, some people are definitely worried about parry. Like they see that as like a negative for a class to be focused on that because of the bad experience they might have had with it or something. So how has parry changed or been improved here, and also how like mandatory is it for the duelist playstyle there?
Well, certainly we didn't want it to be mandatory because that was one of those things we did with the Huntress where parry was really important for that class initially.
Yeah.
And we wanted to make sure that it wasn't here. That being said, it is a duelist. I want parry to be a thing for it. So, like, you know, we did want at least one of the archetypes to involve that. But at the
But
same
if you can
time,
force parry
one of
by
the big
pressing
issues
a
that we've
button
had
that
with
dashes
parry,
in and
kind of two
quote
things
unquote
really. Like, it
parries,
just
that
comes down to
works.
unreliability. So there's a new change that we've just implemented for parry, which was actually quite complicated to do. And it's a little bit complicated to explain as well. But effectively what we've done is we've made it so that when you're parrying, your character is effectively enlarged for against skills that are parryable. So that means that you'd kind of have this problem before where you'd feel like you would try to parry something and it looked like the monster would kind of hit you, but it just didn't. And that was happening all the time, and like one of the frustrating things about parry. So what we've done is now that we've made this change, it means that monsters hit you much more reliably when you're parrying, and so it just makes the whole thing a lot better. But the other issue that we had as well is just boss fights. Like some boss fights just don't really have a lot of parryable attacks, and that's where the shield thing comes in. We can do the shield bash to allow you to parry a monster even when they're not attacking you. So that one's kind of like it also can be used during clearing as well. But I sort of saw that as fixing like the boss fight problem of like, yeah, just some bosses just don't have abilities that easy parry. So it makes the whole thing a lot more reliable in any context right there. So both of those changes together really do improve the feel quite a lot compared to what we had before. And honestly, like, I mean, I love to parry personally, but as I said, even with that said, we know it's not for everyone, so we wanted to make sure there's other options too.
Yeah, that shield, the buckler shield bash parry was super satisfying when I was messing around with that. So
It is one of those things that's so hard to explain to people though, because where do you even put the tutorial for that? Like it's just kind of like an extra thing on your native skill that you've got, like, you know, just the shield that you've got right from the beginning. You know, normally people don't look at the videos for like the base skills like that. Like technically there are videos for it. If you go into the alt menu, you can get to it. But yeah, like nobody's really digging into there and looking for that. So it's kind of hard to find where to explain that. But I guess anyone who listens to this live stream will know about it. And hopefully that'll slowly make its way through the community.
Yeah, I was
couple
going to
more
ask because like
parry,
I didn't even know about that until you told me about
I'm
it.
sure
What
Mark
were you
is
saying?
very
Yeah.
tired.
a couple more parry things there for a bit later as well. We have a not that I'm trying to spoil everything. We have a new reservation skill codenamed Arcane Parry right now, which is effectively it charges up, and then when you parry, it does a much more significant shockwave comes out of you, just to like allow for a lot more area of effect
And
coverage.
that means that all those monsters get parried as well, by the way. So the point of this is to effectively make so that like we had this thing before where there was a period there where parry was like had a really huge range, and it was good for endgame, and but we didn't really like that it was so non-physical. So by adding like this kind of like effect to it and actually making it into a mechanic that you can do with a spirit reservation, now it becomes a thing that we can much more readily accept, and it is a good way to actually make parry viable in endgame as well, by just making it hit like a much larger area.
That parry fix where you're enlarged, is that in 0.55 or is that a 1.0 alongside Duelist change?
It's probably in 1.0, I would imagine.
1.0.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it'll be 1.0.
All right. What were you saying?
But yeah, we also have a new unique helmet coming in
Huge.
the full radius.
Actually huge.
And we also have we're currently trying, we're hoping we can get this, but just so that if people want to play two-handed sword and want to still engage with it, we're trying a two-handed sword base type that grants parry, and you can parry with that. So that'll be a very specific base type.
I'm excited about that.
Sekiro,
Base type
Geralt of Rivia. Yeah, that sounds
I was definitely
great.
a little sad to see that you couldn't parry with the two-hander, but I kind of get not wanting them all to be the same, so having the differences there, because so you can parry with the dual-wield swords, which is obviously a unique thing to swords, and you can parry with the buckler, or the armor evasion shield bases, right? Like the other ones as well. So you've got the parry with those, but that lets you a unique two-handed sword parry. That's pretty cool. I mean, it does make more work for yourselves. That means even more animations, right? You have to make a two-handed parry animation now.
Sure.
Just for that.
Sure. You know, it's fine. It's fine.
It's fine.
I was going to ask about the animations actually, because these are definitely some of the cooler animations that we've seen so far, and also just in general, like some of the coolest sword animations I've seen in any game. Even noticing like some real kind of like authentic aspects to some of the movements and stuff. Like obviously it's over the top, like giant sword slams and stuff, but some of the like movements in like say the Cyclone and the way the swords twist around and the swords are handled and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, there's someone knows sword stuff on your team.
It has done a phenomenal job, not only of the animation itself, but also just researching stuff. And I actually had someone at Gamescom, like a journalist, say to me that they actually know how to, you know, they've used a sword and done some like, you know, blade practice. And the first thing he said was, oh, you know, like, did you like hire anyone to like advise about this? And it's like, no, one of our animators just really interested in this stuff. And what they do is he's got like a, you know, weighted plastic blade that he's got in the studio, and he can film video reference of himself like doing things and sort of get some of that to get video of it that he can use to kind of work out how to do the movements.
Never underestimate
really
the value of
huge
huge nerds, you know.
Research, like watching YouTube videos about people like doing this stuff, and like it's resulted in like just a really amazing looking set of animations. Like honestly some of the best animation work we've done.
Yeah, I would have believed if you had said like, oh yeah, we had some Heba guy came in, we mocapped them or something. So that's really impressive work. So some great stuff. Yeah, it looks super wicked. But at the same time, like you've also not been afraid to go a bit over the top there. One of the press images with a gigantic anime.
Yeah. I mean, there has to be some level of anime inspiration if you're talking about swords for certain things. Like as I said before, like everyone's got different fantasies about what being a swordsman means, and the sort of anime sword thing is definitely one of those. So we kind of had to have it.
Yeah, you've tried to touch on all of those. You definitely got that dash in kind of nothing personal anime thing where they slice and then fall apart
equilibrium.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not sure if we would show that in the video really, but we actually have some new tech now where all of the monsters are capable of being sliced into pieces. So it actually works like all the monsters are being like split up, and then we can. It's actually a mechanic. You know what? Actually, one of the in-game builds had it, didn't it? Where you slice monsters up. And then we've even got mechanics to take advantage of that, like the one that makes so that some of the chunks explode after they get sliced up.
Yeah,
so it's an actual thing now. We kind of originally did it just as a visual cool thing, but we turned an actual game mechanic as well now, so that's kind of interesting too.
I had the meat chunks on bleed. I think we were calling them meat chunks internally. Meat chunks on bleed, but I didn't have the meat chunks on slice and dice or whatever.
Right. Okay, you didn't know that one.
No, that's a different build.
Right.
All up, I know that this has been a pretty challenging class to showcase, and it's something we chatted about quite a bit. How you wanted to like show, the campaign and the end game. And I think like having both of those here in this showcase has been really good for people, so they can see and have like kind of like that full picture. Obviously, one of the slower technical stuff to show like how the animations work, how the interactions work, and then you wanted the end game to show like what people can aspire to. But how well do you think overall that you've been managed to communicate the duelist here? Because I feel like it's a hard thing to nail down without actually playing it.
Mostly because, like, you can see the fluidity, sort of. You don't really know how it feels. So, I mean, honestly, one of the reasons why I was so keen to demonstrate it at Gamescom, so a bunch of people can get their hands on it. Yeah, honestly, it's just been really good. Like, a lot of people really enjoyed it. So I think I think I was a little bit worried, right? Because like I was worried, like, will people understand ready stance and so on? And we were so worried about it. We're like, okay, we need to have some like signs up that explain ready stance. We need to make sure there's a tutorial in this Gamescom build that we've got for this, just for that to make sure it works. And if all else fails, we've got Kevin who can just walk around and tell people if they're not doing it. That's the just like really certain that everyone understands the mechanic. But yeah, like honestly, once you feel it, once you feel the flow, it totally makes sense. And honestly, even like some of the design meetings I'll have, I'm just like sitting there, just like doing ready stance attacks. I'm like, oh, like I'll sometimes just like lose track of time, just sitting there like doing it. It's just so fun to actually do. Yeah, I really enjoy that part.
So those endgame builds look very spicy. I know a fear was that like some people would feel that swords were too weak or too slow because you were showing just that early campaign side of things.
Yeah.
But if anything, after seeing like those endgame builds, I'm wondering like almost the opposite. Is like, is there a risk here that like the endgame power level of players has just become so high that opportunities to enjoy some of that deeper gameplay is becoming like too far and like too few and far between?
It is a potential concern for sure. Balance will be tricky, I suspect, to get right.
Well,
all those things you saw are like the current balance, but maybe Mark, you've got some more theories about that.
Those builds when they were getting filmed, I was like, they're just too strong. They're too strong. And I think even Jonathan, you had some feedback. You're like, just make them a little bit weaker. Like you don't need to one hit literally everything. And
That's
I was
good
like,
feedback.
We're already filming these in tier 25 map equivalents with like
I know. There was a problem at one point like that.
Unascended. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? But yeah, they're just there's some obviously though, we're like putting together a class for demonstration purposes for like a convention and to put together these builds. Like obviously we still have some more work to do with respect to that balance kind of side of things, but it's definitely very, very powerful right now. Some of that dust has to calm down, but that's okay. We'll get there. These things take a lot of time to iterate on, and of course, we have till December 11th to do that. So I'm not concerned about the amount of time. In fact, we've never had a class this ready with this much time, so that's a good thing. But yeah, it means we can make even more builds, get even more ready, have the balance be ideally in a.
You think we get even more ascendancy classes by the time December 11th comes around? I feel like yes.
We'll see, but yeah, definitely.
Feel like we gotta.
I would say right now it is too OP for sure. Like, it's. I mean, I've played through the campaign a whole bunch of times on it, and I'm just like, I shouldn't be this powerful. Like comparatively with everything else. Like I get that people at Gamescom might not have the same kind of because like that's you're starting in Act 5, you're on a pre-made character. What is the gear even like? It's like not necessarily optimized and all of that. So, people there are probably gonna have a different experience.
They said next week, Patterson. They didn't actually say next Thursday versus next Friday. So I guess
I understand tier 25 map. What does that mean?
Might be
we have obviously
next Thursday. Yeah,
levels of any area. That is a tier 25 map equivalent of filming for those in-game builds. So yes, there. But
technically, they just said next week.
Again, with this much time, it should be pretty easy to deal with it. It's nothing new, really.
Yeah, I mean, so this is like way earlier than you've ever been able to showcase class. So getting that hands-on in the public, it gives you lots of time to make those tweaks and see all those points that people are like, oh, people keep missing this detail as you're going around and being like, oh, you can do that. You'll get to kind of learn where those pain points potentially are. Mark, I noticed a bejeweled implicit on Oro's sacrifice. What does that mean?
Yeah. Well, okay. I've mentioned a few cool base types. So we just to clarify, there was the two-handed sword with ready stance. With parry, right? And these are base
Yeah.
types. So we've put a lot
Oh.
of effort into making the base types of swords real
sick.
like epic. And honestly, I want to then propagate it to every other weapon type, to be honest.
Okay, September 4th or
So
8th.
we've got,
Yeah, all right,
just
great.
to clarify before we get to Bejeweled,
4
we've
o'clock
had
on Friday next week.
parry two-handed
Sick.
sword. We showed a base parry duration one-handed sword. What was the other one we showed two-hander? There was the buried blades are ancestrally boosted that we showed in that video. And then
Sick.
Oro Sacrifice has Bejeweled, which is the base type property of the Twilight longsword, I believe it's called. And
Oh, I thought it was unique.
it
Awesome.
means that item comes with a dual socket instead of regular sockets. So it's not necessarily better, but it's sort of interesting, and it's trying to just create a bunch of different things with all the different base types where, that whole suite of them that will drop at end game. So currently, like a lot of weapons, you probably get like 5 base types at end game, maybe 6. Pretty much the entire sword line will have a end game counterpart with all the implicits, just because we've put a lot of cool stuff there. And you do still have your traditional, here's the one that's high attack speed, here's the one that's got some crit, here's the one that's just the bonk damage and all of that. But then all the others we've tried to make sure have really special implicits, and that includes the base type of Oro Sacrifice. So yeah, hopefully people enjoy it and think it's cool, but I definitely was pretty excited about it. And honestly, I find now the base type itself like has some build enabling properties, which I would say hasn't really happened before. So I'm excited to see having that extra axis of like, damn, what sword do I want to use? There's like 3 or 4 options here. I don't know what to do. So I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah, I love these bases with like weird implicits that do interesting things like that. So I hope that is something you propagate out to the rest of the game there. Love it. Let's
That's
talk
one of
about
the most
what's coming
creative
up
things they've
in the
done with
nearer
PoE
future
too,
for people to get their
the
hands
unique
on
weapon
with.
skills.
But first,
yeah.
you did mention that you were hoping originally to get a big balance pass in 0.055 in the lead up to launch, but now that's the bulk of that at least is being pushed.
Same,
launch.
Andy.
Is there some stuff that you feel like you really want to get in before then, though? Is there anything that you do want to get into 0.55 potentially?
Well, want to and realistically possible are the 2 things that are at clash here. I wanted to get all of it in. It just wasn't coming together in a way that wasn't just going to. Like the things with this is you can't like half-ass it and deploy it. If you remove all of X and don't do all of Y, it's just like, okay, why did you just remove all of that? I don't understand. And we weren't just able to bring those packages of changes together, especially while we've got a whole new class in development, getting fully balanced and prepared. And that made it even twice as hard because, as Jonathan's mentioned in the past, and we've talked about, every single time we make a new class, we end up changing every system under the sun. And then we want some of those in and some of those not in. And it was just this giant ruckus of, it's like a kind of just massive writhing
Ruckus
changes
counter 3?
everywhere. And it was so hard.
Literally
Until
just
they correct.
I
merging
think
the
so.
changes. Literally just merging the changes was a disaster. Like just like
Yep.
picking the things, like the commits, like did these ones go in, did those ones not go in? Like we're in the middle of doing like a massive bleed revamp in order to do the duelist, and yet we also want to try to somehow like what parts of that need to go in and what parts don't. And, like it's just like such a crazy puzzle. And we are at the point where literally like our producers were like, we don't know if we can make a build of this. Of like what you want, like we've got a bunch of changes. We don't think we can even create a build that works in the timeline that we need it to be. So yeah, it was challenging even on that level. But not only that, there was the issue of just like more changes were needed, like more things needed to actually happen as well.
For example, to support echoing strikes, we had to make it, we effectively refactored our entire cloning system, which kind of touched on every single skill in the game. And it's like, okay, well, we don't want that because it's untested, has a bunch of ramifications and stuff we still need to iterate on. Yet now any change we have to make to every single skill now has a conflict when we're trying to merge it to the actual build. And honestly, it was just turning into an absolute disaster. And it was like, okay, this just isn't going to be ready, and we're just going to have to keep delaying it, and to the point where like, what are we even going to get here? And yeah, it just wasn't really feasible, honestly, and it was causing us, I mean, honestly, I would say that working around all of that was making everything take significantly longer. And then all of a sudden now we're getting less done because we're having to work around that, and it was just not coming together. And it is sad, and I am real gutted about it because there's a lot of like real cool stuff there. Like we have ascendancy class reworks, we have many new uniques, reworked uniques. We have just stuff everywhere, and I was like, man, this stuff is cool. And I was even just describing it all to Jonathan and how excited I was about it. And I was like, no, I want it all in there, but it just honestly wasn't production wise feasible at all. So it's sad.
With it, go ahead.
It is more for 1.0 though, so that's always good.
Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say, with it being such like a eldritch horror of interconnected balance changes there, are you worried about putting it out at 1.0 then? Because that was like
No,
that was the thing.
because the difference is that when we're making like an 055 patch, what we're doing is we're taking changes from our kind of like development version, we're merging them in. But when we're going to make a entirely new release, that's what's called a retag. We effectively like take everything that we have on our development version, and it's all going to go live. So there's not like this kind of same production hell that you get when you're trying to like make a build out of parts from
I think he means
development
from
version.
I think he means from the testability sake, maybe.
Well, sure, I guess so. I mean, yeah, there's always that, but look, 1.0 is going to get a hell of a lot of testing. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff to do there. So our QA team.
I feel like there's a ton
We've
in
got
this
more time now to make sure
055.
it's right as well.
And yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. Just means
Yeah.
that 1.0
Since most
will
of the
be even
balance
bigger.
changes have been
I can live with that.
deferred to
Definitely.
1.0. I won't like dive into too many of the balance related questions at this point.
Merry
It's still obviously
Christmas.
quite a ways away. But
Man,
one of the things we
it's gonna
did
be
discuss
huge.
was the plus levels side of things, and that is probably the one that came up the most. And I know you guys said in the past that you were reviewing some changes in 0.5 from that to see how that they landed. But it does seem like plus levels are still seen as quite a bit of a problem, crowding out uniques and increasing inavailability in some cases as well with some of the stuff from the Runes of Aldor. So how are you feeling about plus level balance overall at this point now, or moving forwards towards 1.0? Is that on your radar there?
It is still on the radar, yes. I haven't actually done the changes for it yet, and I don't 100% know exactly what to do, but I mean, we've had probably 15 discussions about it now, so it's one of those, it's turning into the next dexterity for sure. And we'll see. We'll see. We'll end up somewhere for sure. I just don't know exactly what that is right now, but it's the second on the spreadsheet. There's like a spreadsheet called Mark to do something, and it's the second one on there. So it's
what's number one out of interest?
We're having another balance meeting today to discuss it. So what is number one? It's probably just whatever I added last.
Mark
number
remembered
one is
that
reserved for this hasn't been sorted in the
there's
list
a
yet.
dirty word in the spreadsheet name, and he didn't want to say it on the stream.
At the top of the sheet when I add stuff. So
we've all been there. To
That
do
one
something,
stays at
whatever.
number 2. I see. Okay. Have you guys discussed like some of the things being kicked around? I've seen like, I don't know what's a good solution and what's not, and for what reasons here. But have you discussed like, maybe like level 30 is the cap that you can reach for gems, or limiting the amount you can get there, or is it more of something you're looking at? Oh, well, it's maybe just about getting the numbers right. Like we just want to bring those down to certain levels. Where do you kind of feel it is?
Caps there is a cap, but yes, caps have been discussed. I think the important thing we want to do is not kill. Well, honestly, I would say there is a few problems with like caster itemization, and I want to make sure that we don't just take away that itemization. Even very early in the game, caster itemization isn't as good as it could be. But it's really hard when you're dealing with fundamental mod pools. Like even early game runes are not as impactful, obviously, for casters, right? Where you get like flat damage ones for attackers and casters don't, and it propagates all the way through. And I get that some of the leagues have added some, breach caster items, for example, have added some in-game itemization, but there is a more fundamental problem here for sure. So I just don't want to make the itemization for casters worse. Let's make it really. That's honestly how it is.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what you come up with there then.
I get that it extends further than just casters, but like that's the main thing of not wanting to ruin.
Yeah,
I know
there's two separate discussions there.
Everyone has a different perception of like, what is good itemization or not. I'm talking about just generally what we believe to be good itemization, as opposed to
I don't necessarily see an inherent problem with plus levels. I think it's just that the power level of it and its availability is high to the point where it does crowd out other item choices. So it feels like you're, if it's not that, then it's not worth using effectively.
We
as a gold
definitely have a
inherent.
thing right now where every single caster unique that gets made, it's like doesn't have plus gem levels, sucks.
Yeah,
And
one out.
even with all of the new uniques we've been making, it's like you kind of want to default to be like, this needs +4, this needs +6, this needs plus, and it's like, do we really have to put this on literally everything?
Yeah,
But
that's when you start
to
to wonder.
compare, in the same way that you're making when you're making a weapon, like generally you can't just be like, nah, I'm not going to put any damage mods on it. So like a martial weapon. So it just doesn't feel quite the same. And I do understand why. I've discussed that before. But anyway, we'll see what happens, but we will do something.
All right. So the Forbidden Rites event. So just to clarify for folks, this being an event is different to a regular expansion. It's a different thing entirely. It's not a league and expansion in that same way. So what of the changes that you talked about are specific to this Forbidden Rites event versus core game changes here as well?
Yeah, so this is our first time ever that we've had a league be both running and core. And we just noticed there was a lot of people still playing Runes of Aldo. We didn't want to end
it's
it.
kind of weird.
So we wanted to keep that running. So we've had to do a large number of hacks to both support something being core and not. But
it's weird.
The tablets are for the event and standard league. So because the league is in every area in Runes of Aldo, you don't get tablets to further it. What else have we changed there? I mean, you don't get remnants in every area during the event, but you can once you start using tablets. And it's honestly for those who've obviously played leagues and seen leagues go core, or people who played our previous leagues for PoE 2, like Fate of the Val, and then the temple became core. Ultimately, it should feel like all the content from Runes of Aldo is now in its core state while you're playing in the event and standard leagues. And if you continue to play Runes of Aldo, you should notice no difference. That's pretty much it.
But now you get the added benefit of being able to stack tablets for the mechanic and make it even juicier.
It's not introduced now until currently
awesome.
in the Forbidden Rites event, the content, the characters aren't introduced until Act 4 when you're doing the quest in Act 4. So you won't see any through Act 1, 2, and 3. What else is different there? I think the only other thing we may have, I'm pretty sure we changed it, is, which I don't know how people are going to respond to this one, but we've removed from the Forbidden Rites and Standard League, so it's not in the current Runes of Aldo, it didn't want to affect the economy, but Elder's Saga, the mods from it are now in the core mod pool of what can generate on logbooks, as opposed to requiring that item.
Oh. That's awesome.
You have to determine the rarity yourself. And then we've replaced that outcome from the remnant encounters, just so that the entirety of the end game for that isn't just Elder's Sagaing, and that's it.
I love this change.
Good stuff.
That's great.
The ritual, speaking of like the end game here for the league, for the new league, the event, the Sacred Bloom from the rituals that lets you add the Sacred Wildwood to maps. How rare are these roughly? Is that something we can be applying to every decent map, or just kind of the most juiced ones because it's like going to be rare and valuable? It's a big thing, being able to get the Wildwood.
It's about 1 in 5 maps to get one about, but give or take.
That's not bad.
Yeah, you're not going to run it every map, but of course it's tradable. So
yeah,
feel free to just go ahead and buy them. So yeah, I don't know. I think that was a pretty decent rate, but we may still iterate on that.
That seems like the sort of thing you could easily afford to run fairly frequently then. With that being the case, back in when we had this before in Affliction League,
agreed, Andy.
It was probably the most insane juicing thing we've ever had. So both in terms of difficulty and reward, which is really cool for a number of reasons. Like obviously people like big loot explosions, but also you could make like the hardest monsters of all time outside of deepest delves. Is this potentially going to be a similarly spicy thing for Path of Exile 2?
It's obviously pretty hard to compare the drops because it's just an entirely different drop ecosystem. Like, are you going to be having to hover and identify 100 heavy belts in every map? Probably not, you know. But for those who that is my strict memory of Affliction. Is like I am
agree.
so sick of looking at heavy belts on the ground.
Yep.
You know, I think they actually got 2 mirrors in that league as well, which I feel like shouldn't happen. But
Damn, dude.
I got one mirror. I got one mirror in that league. Which is pretty good.
I have equal memories of Affliction. Don't worry about that. But the way that the Wisps scale the monsters is a bit different anyway. So instead of just rarity, PoE 1 did rarity, quantity, and chance for items to be currency, I believe as it was. Instead, here what we've done is blue Wisps turn monsters magic, normal monsters magic, yellow Wisps add mods to rare monsters, and purple Wisps add rarity to everything. So purple,
they're
magenta.
all really good because
and
of that.
So you know, if you're stacking rare monsters, obviously yellow and purple is the right combination to get. So are you going to expect the same levels of juice? Hard to say. It should definitely be a good alternate way to juice in-game maps compared to say something like Delirium right now.
Yeah.
And of course, though, you can stack both of them. So, to some degree, of course, because they both get better with tablets, so they are contesting with one another. But you can just run both and stack it with everything else that is in the in-game currently. So, should be pretty out there, pretty crazy.
Right on. Rapid fire. The Trial of Chaos was the changes there look amazing. It was one of my least favorite parts of the game. So those changes, there's a huge set of improvements there. Love to see that. Is Sekima's likely to get a similar treatment in some way on the way to 0.1.0? It's not as bad in my opinion, but still be good to see.
It is in terms of content, that existing content that needs improving. It is the next. As an actual in content, not like character side or balance or anything. It is the next thing on our list that is the worst thing.
The next worst.
So yes, we definitely want to, but obviously, lot to do for the end of the year. So we'll have to see if we can fit it in, but we'll see how that goes.
I have a feeling they'll fit it in.
I would say if not for release, then you'd look at it for 1.1 kind of territory for sure.
I agree with that.
Honestly, the changes we made to Trial of Chaos are like it's so much better. Like oh my god. And it should never have been in that state. Like I was writing and reading all the patch notes, and I was just like, we should never have had to write this. This should not have ever needed to have been a patch note. This is like horrendous.
I love to hear
and
that.
I'm sure when we get through Trial of Sekimas, we're going to have a similar situation going on. So, it's not as bad. At least there's like a kind of strategy there to some degree, and ways to make money, and divines. But yeah, it needs a substantial amount of love for sure.
Awesome, good to hear it then. So a few more rapid fires on the end game. The challenge level of end game caps out pretty early currently. That's good for build diversity, honestly. But it does mean that there are some limited options for like testing your more powerful characters. Uber bosses and more challenging like end game content. That's something on the radar for maybe for 1.0 or something.
I don't want to commit to like higher tiers of boss content and difficulty to too much of a degree, especially with respect to Uber bosses, until we have the character balance in the right spot. And in theory, 1.0 should have them in the right spot. But you know how balance goes with these things, with live service products in particular. And similar to PoE 1, right? It's every.
I wouldn't expect Uber bosses until we have all 12 classes.
It's one of those infinite tasks. That being said, I definitely don't want to add Uber boss content until we've felt like that's in a stable spot for sure. I actually went out of my way to play a number of kind of atrocious builds this league. Just like I picked literally the worst thing, the things that were being played the least, and I played them. And honestly, fighting those pinnacles with those characters was insanely difficult. And I was like, if we were to add content beyond this, it's just impossible. It's just not going to even be possible. It was actually like, and I played a good character as well, and I was just like, okay, we need to, we've got some work to do here before we go and create a bunch of content that a bunch of players will literally never be able to even achieve, even if they did everything right. because the character balance is the low end is just not in the right spot at all. And honestly, the very, very top end, the top 1% kind of builds is not in the right spot either. So once we get that, I'm hoping to be able to actually start, thinking about it.
Okay,
But I
yeah.
mean, the Wildwood
Yeah, the
will
3
go
trials
towards
was
making
too
things
much.
harder. So rest
True,
assured
yeah.
that.
Some juicing potential there. There's been a few questions about the state of tablets, focusing on tablet management, trading, rolling them, the work that kind of goes into getting the modifiers that you want for your in-game farming strategies. You get it compared to things like scarabs, which have those set effects. So they've got that double whammy of like random modifiers and the limited uses. What do you like or not like about the current tablet design? Is this something you're thinking about at all, or is this kind of the first time you've heard that brought up? Yeah, how are you guys feeling about tablets overall there?
We've actually discussed it pretty in depth recently when
Oh,
also
cool.
talking about PoE 1 with respect to like the
Scarabs,
current
I
state of
assume?
endgame there and talking about all of the changes we want to make around there and how it compares to PoE 2 and what parts do we like and not like. Personally, I really like the tablet, the mod rolling side of things. And what
I
we've
bet you
found
do.
is generally over time, there is at least an audience that are more aligned towards wanting determinism, and
Yeah.
thus the mod rolling can get phased out.
I
And
will
actually
say,
think that
I really preferred Scarabs
this
for a
has
long
been a big part
time,
of the
and
discussion where
then
we're looking at this. I feel
I
like
think more
by
recently I
adding more
might
determinism
actually be
and
kind of more of a
removing
fan of tablets at the current moment.
these
I don't
like
know.
random axes, the strategies end up becoming quite dull and then have to just be balanced around that determinism, and then they
Yeah,
get muted,
exactly.
and then you've just lost kind of everything because everything is all equal and everything's all balanced. And
So
it's
many
had
of the
that
scarabs are
effect.
just
Like
bad,
definitely it's had that effect.
and so
as
many
to
that are
where
really good
the
are
fine line
super
is between
rare,
the kind of mod rolling
therefore
and the
incredibly
determinism.
expensive,
I'd say
making
that it's
them
something
not
we
good
still
for
have to
actually
kind of
making
figure out,
currency
but
consistently.
I'm quite happy with how that is right now, where there's like some crazy stuff you can do, but it requires specific tablets with specific mods. And so, yeah,
Yeah, roll ranges can be too
immediately I
large on
caught us.
tablets
We
for
were actually
sure.
doing this for 055. I was like, all of a sudden I saw a bunch of the really spike modifiers getting kind of like people pushing to nerf this, nerf that, get this in line with the rest of the content. And I was like, let's not do that right now. I think there's one or two that like, okay, I understand the beyond reason, but I was like, let's pull back some of that because I want to actually reevaluate how much power you should be able to get out of these random modifiers as opposed to things that are just baseline always on. So yeah, there's still some evaluation to do there, but personally, I'm quite happy with it. I love that you get some tablets that are out of control and cause you to have, well, my recent demonstration, an army of sentinels or sentries following you around, adding runes to everything. We have some crazy stuff with the Expedition. I mean, the Expedition tablet mod is actually a lot larger and has a lot more spike stuff at the top. So I'm actually quite curious to see how people feel about that in the Forbidden Rites, to see how that plays as well. We've tried to make sure that mod pool is larger than the other tablet mod pools to see if that is a something people resonate well with or not well with as well. So yeah, you can.
Okay.
Anyway, my point being, like, we still haven't quite. We're still discussing it, and we're still kind of testing some stuff with the tablets. And Forbidden Rites will reveal some of that. But ultimately, personally, I'm pretty happy
Jonathan's
with
worked very
where
hard
it
the last couple days. He's
sits,
allowed to be tired.
overall.
Awesome. Yeah, it's good to hear it's in discussion then. One thing I saw that was like maybe an easy win was to get bookmarks in for the in-game trade, because I think people use that for convenience when trying to trade this stuff, and being able to set those up and bookmark those would be pretty sweet.
Pretty sure that is a thing.
Oh,
So
Yeah.
interesting.
we have favorite trades and recent trades as two things that are internally, as of yesterday, implemented on PoE 2.
Oh, hell yeah. Awesome.
I think
Good
it
news.
was on gamepad and or console, and now it's on keyboard mouse as of yesterday internally, and that we should be able to get that into 055.
Yes, excellent. Easy win. Good to hear. Well, I will let you folks go, and we've got a race to prepare for. To hop over to here in just a moment. Looking forward to casting out as the grand final of the qualifiers.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's going to be a spicy one for sure. So, thanks very much for joining me, Mark and Jonathan, for the Q&A here. once again, and
Thank you
best of luck with the
thank you
rest
very
of
much
your
for
trip.
hosting. It's always a pleasure to have you to ask the questions, and hopefully you guys enjoy the Duelist when you finally get to play it on December the 11th when the game comes out.
Look forward to
So,
seeing what you have in store for us at ExileCon as well. We'll see you
yeah,
folks then, maybe.
absolutely. Well, there's certainly a
Thanks,
lot more stuff
everyone.
to announce. Yeah, thanks everyone.
Cheers.
See
Thanks,
you
Ziggy.
later.
All right, goodbye to those fellas. All right, let us check out. When is ExileCon again? Worth a look. I think ExileCon is like right around mid-November, right? Oh, it's early November. November 7th to 8th, so we'll get that, and then a month later we'll get the 100 patch. That's pretty cool. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the builds for PoE 2 that were super successful. Yeah. What were the most successful builds in Runes of Elder, since we're not getting any significant balance changes or anything like that? Hello, Aralta, I see that test text on Twitch chat. I think there are a lot of dead mods on tablets, or like mid mods anyway, that could probably be merged together with other things. I like all the suffixes that exist for the different like leak mechanic tablets. You know, like if we just look at them, right? Like ritual tablet suffixes. There are a lot of things in here that are kind of stankers. Essences, the spirits, chance to get those in addition to getting like guaranteed spirit, essence, rogue exile on the prefix. To also have a chance to get it on the suffix is like unnecessary. But like all the league mechanic specific ones, you know, all of those that modify what you're actually trying to farm, those are super fun. All right. So, I mean, Herald of Ice, yeah, we all knew that. That's still popular, but yeah, it was pretty much people running like Hollow Focus, that's the bells mechanic, and Hollow Form is the one that you sustain to channel some other skill. And people were using this to do Whirling Assault on Martial Artist. That was super popular. One of the more popular builds in the league. Gimling Legion. Super fun, but also like, I mean, you could kind of play it as anything. People did it as a lightning caster, Arc Spark. That's pretty good. We did it as a grenade build, and that was an insane build. Build of the league for sure. Crossbow in general, 5% usage rate. That's not bad. It's not high, but it's definitely not bad. And it's kind of a nice even split between the three, relatively even split between the three Merc Ascendancies. Yeah, I know earlier in the league, Witch Hunter and Tactician were more popular than Gimling. I think Gimling is bad during the campaign. Like, actually bad during the campaign. I think you want to run Tactician for the first, like, at least the first trial. Maybe the first two. And then switch over to Gimling around, like, Ascendancy 3, or maybe even in-game. But it becomes so good with grenades later. Spirit Walker, that was one that we didn't play around with this league at all. We didn't play around with either of the two new Ascendancies, so this does give us the chance to do that. Like the build that we played, if we wanted to do instead of latest snapshot, let's do like day 3. What were the top 3 build archetypes at the start of the league? People were still playing, just forcing it. Ice Shot Deadeye. Yeah, I mean, that worked, clearly. Yeah, Witch Hunter gets Explodey first trial, and Tactician gets the Rain of Arrows that you can just kind of use to, like, free clear very easily, like just a free keybind. I don't remember if it actually costs mana or not. And then Tactician is also very good. Like, it's kind of crazy how good Mercenaries 3 Ascendancies all are, because you get this persistent buffs at 50% less reservation, so you just stack auras like crazy and run like Painter's Servant gloves, which are like a 1C unique. And then you run, Trinity, and now you're doing equal amounts of all 3 types of damage, and your full stacking Trinity all the way up, and it only costs 50 Spirit to do so. And then you just basically run around pinning everything all the time. Pretty good. Yeah, we didn't touch martial artists at all. I was a little worried that it might be bad. It was most certainly not bad. It was very good. The super strong gloves wound up just being incredibly good. The tattoo stuff is also pretty good. Like, it actually has multiple rounds of, like, that's a thing you always want in Ascendancy when you're, like, trying to, like, fall in love with it. It's something that we definitely did not do with Pathfinder. Like, if they ever nerf Pathfinder's flask charge generation or anything related to their, like, wither or chaos damage or anything, that class is toast. We're totally boned for PoE 1. You want something that has, like, layers and layers of good stuff, so that, like, if they nerf the, one aspect of it, you're able to move over to something else and still have it be good. And I feel like Martial Artist has, like, 6 good Ascendancy nodes in it. Way of the Stone Fist, Hollow Focus, Hollow Form, Runic Meridians, Way of the Mountain, those all seem good. Yeah. Spirit Walker was less convincing. I think Spirit Walker got some buffs early on in the patch, right? Because it was having some balance issues or whatever very early on. Or maybe just like the monkeys weren't working right. But I know obviously people came up with monkey builds that were incredibly strong. Might have even been before 0.5.1. It might have been like 0.50B or something. Bug fixes or something. In any case, it was clearly very popular. Yeah, I don't know. The biggest issue we had with the idea of playing Spirit Walker to start is having to play Huntress through the first couple of acts on no budget. Yeah, that's exactly right. Spirit Walker's kind of like that, like the Pathfinder situation in PoE 1, where it has this very, very specific load-bearing component to it that if they ever undertune the monster, or you just get the wrong guy or whatever, you're just completely boned. Like, you are specifically reliant on the Wild Protector being good. And then the other thing is, there just aren't very many good spear builds available. There's Whirling Slash Twister, which I personally just don't love. I don't think Sunset's like a huge fan either. But yeah, like, just not loving that and kind of not having great alternatives feels bad. This is unfortunate, because I do like, we were talking about this yesterday, I think I used to like Swarms of Guys as a minion build archetype back in the like Diablo 2 days. But I think I've come the other direction now. I think I really like me and the big guy fight together. Loving that about the Luminary and PoE 1 right now. I hang out while the mercenary kills everything. I think that would be really fun and cool for the Spirit Walker. It's just spamming Twister and Whirling Slash sounds kind of lame. Yeah, Monk in Act 1 is the pain simulator. What was the highest level character by like day 2? An unascended Evonkler, huh? Good for him. That's crazy. Yeah, Lightning Spear was super fun in point 2. Damn overpowered. Alright, let's see. The build that we played for League Start, Disciple of Varashta, was not even in the top 5. It was 7th overall. No, 8th overall in terms of popularity by like day 2.
Oh, it must have not been any good then.
Yeah, it must have been not good. It was insane how good this build was. Just walking around, tap, 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 boss dead.
Yeah.
incredibly strong.
Yeah, if you were having any issues with Twitch, just FYI, we always dual stream on YouTube as well.
Yeah.
We don't want to keep people from drops, but at the same time, if there's ever an outage or whatever, I think there might have been a slight outage in the EU for Twitch.
We were hearing that was because of GTA 6 stuff, which that'll happen. Yep.
Such is life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, I mean,
that's
that's
true,
true,
Ralta,
Ralta.
but
Yeah.
you know, obviously we're a pretty small channel. Although we do get blamed for a lot of economy stuff with our
Oh, yeah, anytime anything
small
goes wrong with
channel.
the economy, it's our
If you
fault.
look at our most recent video, it's mostly just people complaining to us about the price of scarabs
Uh-huh.
and us just saying, "Oh well," or "Okay" to those
Okay.
people
Yep.
because I mean,
Pretty
what
much.
do you want us to do?
Yeah.
We put out a video. We have 40,000 people subscribed. That doesn't mean 40,000 people are watching.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's more than that. But
Yeah, we have 40,000 subscribers, and then we don't get 40,000 views on every video. What gives?
yeah, what gives? What's happening with that?
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think we are personally affecting the scarab market.
Yeah. I don't think so.
I think it's a combination of factors.
I think
Other
it's a combination
creators
of
are
factors.
doing a similar strat, so
Yep.
oh hey Beholder.
Hey,
What's up?
Beholder. Oh, things are good. The big reveal from GGG was really good. We're getting new PoE 2 stuff to do next week, which is ahead of the expected schedule. Very awesome. Very happy about that. I'm excited to get back to PoE 2. I really am. So that's great news.
Thank you, Alan Dovas. I
Thank
appreciate
you, Alan.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Andy, exactly.
It's certainly an idea.
Well, listen.
All right, we were told that we were responsible for killing the strategy. So let's
tell
see.
those people to focus up and watch the video instead of just not watching it. Tell them to watch the video. Look, we want to quit our day jobs. We do want to do content creation full time. We still are
That
not
would be
full
nice.
time.
Yeah. It's been worse. It was underpriced at this point. It was underpriced the whole time. As I said in the video, if it were a divine, I would still run this strategy. I still think it's worth it at a divine as Scarab. Yeah. It's not even half
Andy.
that. So.
Exactly, Andy. I mean, look, other creators are also doing
JP.
Other creators, we've heard that other creators have done a similar strat. But again, we don't really watch a lot of other creator videos until like after the fact because we don't want to accidentally plagiarize anybody.
Yeah.
We just do our own strats. We come up with our own builds and our own strats. We don't want any influence from anywhere because we never want to be accused of being a copycat.
Yeah. Yeah, wow.
That's the greatest sin for us.
Yes, very much so.
Is being accused of being a copycat.
Yeah. Yeah, day 3 of Ruins of the Elder League, technically still the current league. Day 3, like 20% of players, what is this? 15% of players are playing Bow and Quiver, and all of them were playing the Ice Shot Snipe build. I mean, it's not bad. It's certainly not bad. I just, it's okay.
Yeah. We always, we jump back and forth between the two games. And that makes some people happy and mad.
Yeah, I mean, I can't. It makes both of us happy. It keeps us motivated, and that's pretty much it. It's interesting how little the other two monk ascendancies were played at the start of Runes of Elder League. Acolyte of Chayula, people tried desperately to make that work. And then Invoker, rough. It's not very good.
Yes, Wet Delve.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're gonna, as long as they're still making content for it, we're gonna keep doing content for it.
Yeah.
Can't say the same about the Diablo franchise.
No, unfortunately.
But Path of Exile franchise, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm a little surprised that Invoker is down here below, like, even Pathfinder. Like, it's literally the lowest ascendancy class in the game by day 3. I don't think it is. No, it still is. Warbringer being this low makes sense. Amazon in its current nerfed state kind of makes sense being super low. Low popularity. Smithic Kitava is one of those that's really good for, like, the first day. And then it falls off. And I think if you are going to play Smithic Kitava, I think you just play Titan instead. Even for Ascendancy. Maybe for the very first Ascendancy. Like hour 12, maybe you play Smithic Kitava for Ascendancy 1 and then switch to Titan for Ascendancy 2. But I don't really think it matters. And clearly the usage rate on maces was... Let's take a look at like day 3.
We tried so hard to get into D4. We really did. We gave it our best.
We gave it our best.
We set up the YouTube channel for it. We
played
set
it.
up
We did in-game
we
content.
set up a role for it in our Discord. We set up channels for it. We were really giving it our all, but we couldn't. We just couldn't.
We had some content planned. We killed monsters in big round rooms. Then we killed monsters in giant square rooms. Then we killed monsters in small round rooms. Then we killed monsters in small square rooms. And we realized that this game is like a Skinner box. I mean, like I wanted to like it more than I did. I think we both wanted to like it more than we did. And I don't think it's bad, but I don't think it's good. It feels closer to like Overwatch than a game like World of Warcraft or Path of Exile, where there's a lot of...
You fucking take that
No,
back.
okay, fine. Marvel Rivals, my point is it feels more like a game where it's just jump in, don't worry about anything, really, don't worry about gear or whatever.
I don't think that's true.
Just
I
jump
think that there
in,
are lots
whatever,
of things
and
that you have
go.
to work on and farm and perfect and
There
whatever. and
are,
that's not
but
true
like
of
every single one
Rivals
of the
or
individual
Overwatch at all.
things feels like nothing. Like it's all a bunch of like this like 1.1%
I do think a
damage
lot of the
increase
skills
here
look
and
really
0.2%
cool. I thought the
tankiness
artwork
there.
was cool. Yeah.
It did look cool. Diablo 4.
Oh, we're talking about Diablo 4. You have entered the Diablo 4 stream. No, not really.
You've entered the Diablo 4 crapping on content section.
The Diablo 4 commercial. Sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry about that. Anyway, back to our regularly scheduled program.
Now back to the rats. So,
Back to the
Maces.
rats.
The usage rate on these at day 3 of last league was less than 2%. That's bad. Crossbow. Crossbow was around 10%. It has fallen off since then to now where it's, I think, around 5%. Still pretty good. Quarterstaff. Quarterstaff usage rate is a little lower now. I guess, what is up now? What is up? Scepter. Okay, so it's like more... Probably more caster stuff later in the league now, I'm guessing. People were really playing martial artist at the start of this last league. Yeah, I think that was another big issue for Diablo 4 was the boss fights just felt very long and slow and uninteresting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't feel like Deadeye is really as strong as its representation is. I think it's just that a specific streamer said, hey guys, I'm going to be playing this build at the start of this coming league, and I'm going to be using it for mapping. And people were like, got it, I'm going to do what he does. I'm going to fub what he does. And so then it was popular. And clearly it worked. And, you know, you slap a headhunter onto a build, it'll be able to clear. But I have concerns about actually, like, league starting anything like that without a headhunter, you know?
I think my favorite question that we get is about Mage Blood.
Do you need Mage Blood for this build?
Do you need Mage Blood?
I mean, my favorite is, how do I make Mage Blood work on this Pathfinder? You don't. Play something else. That's it. It's a Pathfinder. It's a Mage Blood as an Ascendancy. I do appreciate the Deadeye is, like, tankier in PoE 2. Like, has the built-in tankiness from Gathering Winds, the Tailwind actually giving you DR. I think that's baseline. Maybe that's built into something else, but I thought it was baseline from gathering wins. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's the Ascendancy node behind it. In which case, never mind. I don't really play a lot of Deadeye, I'll tell you that. I was very pleased by how tanky our Gimling Legionnaire Grenade Man was, and clearly it was actually a pretty popular way to play Explosive Grenade at the start of the league. Like, I'm curious, what was the most popular thing? Witch Hunter. That's a little surprising. I think Gimling is just clearly better than Witch Hunter for explosive and cluster grenades and stuff. But people didn't know that at the very start of the league, because we didn't know what all the skills were for, or all the extra quality bonuses for Gimling were, and in the first day of a league, you can't really even afford to quality all your gems up anyway. And that's another, I guess, part of the problem for playing Gimling to start off, compared to one of those caster builds or the Disciple of Varasha to start off, is like you're relying on having a good weapon, having a million different skills that you have to quality up and get up to like 4 or 5 or 6 sockets, and you are literally trying to fit in every single one you can because you have all the stuff you have to balance on a Gimling, all the different, like, you have to have this much strength and this much dex and this many support gems socketed. Witch Hunter is an awesome league starter. Built-in explodey, built-in tankiness. It's great. Gimling is also a really good build. We played it as what, like our third build of the last league? I don't remember. I haven't logged into PoE 2 in a while. Poison Pathfinder,
So
Grenade
busy with
Gimling was super
PoE.
fun. Yeah. Slam Titan we liked. Plant Druid. That's another one. So those were the builds we played all of this league. Skelly Disco, Plant Druid, Slam Titan. We didn't play Poison Pathfinder this time around, and we probably won't for the redo event anyway. And Grenade Gimling.
When it's
Grenade
not as
Gimling was
good, we don't do it.
awesome.
We don't want to send people into misery.
No, and we did get a bunch of questions asking, like, was this nerfed this league? Yes. Is it still playable?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. It just won't be.
You can
as
do whatever
good.
you want. Is
But
it going
yeah.
to be good? No.
It'll be about as good as it was in like 0.2 and 0.3 when it was fine. But 0.4 was when they buffed poison builds a lot, and then they nerfed them a lot back down to where they were, and now they're fine. You know, weirdly, day 2, day 3 Oracle, like the usage rate on the Vine Druid, very high. Thousands of people playing Vine Druid. It's interesting the split between Oracle and Lich being actually as high as it is, but Vine Druid was very fun. I don't know that I would want a league start it, just because, I mean, the clear is amazing. The boss damage?
Kind of thinking about how Luminary, people being like, should I league start this? Probably not. I mean, you can.
Yeah.
It'll be harder. It'll be slower. If you don't mind those things, that's fine. Some people want to go, go, go. Other people just want to experience something different. That's fine too. Do whatever you want.
I felt sympathy for Captain Lance at this last league start with him doing
Oh yeah.
Luminary because it's
Yeah.
new and because he's a theory crafter and he wants to theory craft for it ASAP, and it's good content. But man, there were so many people who were not prepared
It
to
was rough.
do that same level of theory crafting and all, and got really upset with him. And yeah, I feel bad for somebody in
Yeah.
that situation, even though he's fine.
Yeah, he's fine.
It's just, you don't want to see somebody getting lit up when you know that they are a good build
No.
crafter.
Of course.
Also, the other thing, I think the thing that we both clocked right off the bat with the Luminary is you have to gear up 2 characters. At the start of a league, that's the worst possible time to try to gear up 1 character, much less 2. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect second character, though. That's kind of where we're at here.
Yeah, we know that's
He
what they
always
mean,
does that when it's a new build, but people still like to just
people
do
will
it and do it
comment
badly
on
and get
builds
mad.
from people will comment. The issue is that people will comment on a build from a year ago and
True.
think like I don't know if, I mean, we see every comment.
We do.
We see and respond to every comment. So if if you're asking on a build from a year ago, well, first of all, if we're not still playing the like evolution of that build, we're not gonna go back and test it.
No.
So if that's what you're looking to do, you're kind of on your own at that point.
I'm not really sure what I want to play as the starter for this upcoming season. I kind of want to do Disciple of Varashta again, but that feels like, really? I'm going to do the same thing a second time? Really?
And also, we do kind of look at whether or not a build that we played before is like going to be good for the next patch cycle, but we are sometimes we will leave something behind if something else looks like a lot better and seems like it'll be a lot more popular. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, you know, you're not just doing YouTube out of the goodness of your heart, you're also doing it because you want to get views and make money from YouTube ads.
It's
So,
true.
you have to put content out that people are going to be looking for and want to watch as well. So, it's a balance. It also has to be something we're interested in. We're not going to just do a build because like we were interested in Luminary, but we were hesitant, and I'm glad that we were because it didn't seem like it was a great starting experience.
Yeah, I mean, I think we made the right decision waiting as long as we did to pick up Luminary, because it is absolutely cranking now, and I guess we do have to put out I guess it'll be a final update for Luminary, at least for now, because we're going to be
I guess
moving over to
so.
PoE 2 stuff pretty soon.
Yeah.
And we'll put together a more cohesive idea of what our thought for the League Starter is once we figured it out. I will tell you, I'm kind of leaning a couple of ways for League Starter, just in my initial thoughts. Okay, we can start with directions I'm not leaning. Not leaning toward Deadeye, definitely not leaning toward Vine Druid, and not leaning toward Slam Titan this time around. Even though it's fun and I know we know it's good. That's the best thing I could say about Slam Titan is we know it is a strong campaign build and a strong day 1, day 2, day 3, no budget mapping build. Like, it will get you to tier 15 and tier 16 maps in PoE 2 on an SSF budget. That's the one build that we'll ever put our money where our mouth is. What does that saying mean? We'll put our words behind, we'll stand behind our words. That build
English
is
is
actually
stupid,
SSF
guys.
viable. Never really say this is SSF viable about anything because, like, first of all, I feel like you're violating the sacred pact of solo self-found if you're going and asking somebody for help on how to play it, right?
Well, I don't want to pick on this person. I'm not going to call them out publicly, but there is somebody who comments on a lot of our videos who will just say like, "Well, I did this other thing instead. Now I can't kill bosses. Help me fix it." And it's like, "Well, that's not what we're doing."
Yeah,
So I
I
don't
can't
know.
help you with that.
I don't know all the decisions you made
Yeah.
that got you to the point where you can't kill bosses, and that sounds like it sucks. But like,
Yeah,
I
for
don't.
real.
We're not going to individually coach you over the YouTube comment section
No.
or anywhere really. We don't offer coaching, so
Nah.
if you have a problem with our build, like you can ask in one of the build channels in the Discord. But if it's just something else, you just went rogue and then you're like, help me fix it. It's like, nah, dog, sorry.
Yeah. We didn't do anything with Chronomancer, and it seems like nobody really did anything with Chronomancer, but Chronomancer is incredibly strong. 30% less damage taken, and then when you get hit, you take 30% of that damage 4 seconds later, so you get this, like, stagger, but you just get 30% less damage over time taken, period. 30% less damage taken, just straight up for an Ascendancy bonus, is crazy. And then also, like, slowing enemies by 20% when they're near you, that's also crazy. And 20% chance to echo, 20% chance to repeat on your spells, that's pretty good, but you have to play a caster. I don't know, man. Maybe Chronomancer is, like, a vibe. Okay, so the builds that we've ruled out. Right. Vine Druid, Slam Titan. The reset is Friday, September 4th. Or, yeah, the new event. Poison Pathfinder
Exactly,
of our standard collection. Poison Pathfinder is out. I think Grenade Gimling and Skeleton Disciple are in, but they're not new.
Build.
So I kind of want to do something new. I feel like Wolf Druid and Wyvern Druid are also off the table for us.
They'll be like, well, I did what you're doing with this, but I did with what this other creator was doing with this, and I put them together, and it's not working. And it's like, well, I mean, you know,
Yeah.
I feel like you should just start with one of those bases and then just alter it to your liking, but not
Yeah.
not try to make a Franken build, because that usually is
That
not
doesn't go
a
well.
success in this game.
Yeah,
There's too many things that rely on each
True.
other in this game. Too many intricacies of this relies on this, that powers up this, that powers up this, and then you
Yeah.
need this many of this, and then yeah, like I just can't really put two things together that don't belong together.
It's very easy to get
Let's not
70% of a
Potato Head,
build
okay?
together that works, but then yeah, you are basically like you've
Can't put
messed
his
up the
nose on
final
his head and
30%,
put his arms in
and
his
now you've
face and be like, it's good.
and now you've got an eldritch horror Mr. Franken potato head who's got like 6 legs and 4 arms and no eyes or mouth or anything of a build, and it doesn't work, right? It's not that
I
hard
think
to
you've just
brick a
described
build.
a spore.
A spore? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think the two things that stand as frontrunners of our previous builds would be Disciple of Varashta. I think that is the one that we're just saying it now. I think that's the one that we're going to point to people and say, if you're looking for a build for the coming league and you're not sure what to play, and especially with it being very ritual focused, play this. It will beat ass. It will beat ass like nobody's business. It will obliterate these bosses, and it'll do it on no budget. The same goes for the Titan. But do we want to league start that a second time in a row?
Yeah.
I don't know. The Gimling grenade guy we know is good once you have the budget for it. I don't know how good it is on league start budget. I think it's pretty good. I didn't really do much with the character in the campaign until like Act 4 when I put a headhunter on it, which isn't really that good in the campaign, but I did put a headhunter on it in Act 4 because I was just like, this build's going to have a headhunter. I'm going to go ahead and commit now. So that kind of skewed things. You know, I don't really know how good grenade leveling is if you are... I mean, I know it's good on like Witch Hunter. So that might also be an option for starting. That's probably is our front runner, is just starting a grenade build, start as like a Witch Hunter or a Tactician, probably spend some time over the weekend or whenever playing around with that. Next week, playing around with that, and that's, I guess, tentatively the plan. But then the other two builds that have kind of stood out as being pretty cool are Martial Artist and Spirit Walker. Were clearly like both very popular this last league, so we might look into those as possible starters since they're not getting nerfed. And then the only other thing that really stands out as being super, super dope is what if we tried to make a Chronomancer caster that starts off? Yeah, it's very possible that we wind up with 80% hemline / gymlings. I love autocorrect sometimes. Gimling is incredibly strong. Look at how unrepresented it was at the start of the league because we didn't know what all the quality bonuses were. You know, it was like 1-2% usage rate. I mean, it was on day 1. It was less popular than Unascended Witch.
An 80% hemline gemling is a very, very geared character.
And look at where it is now. Latest snapshot: 17% of builds are gemlings. Yeah, like it is overwhelmingly popular. It is definitely going to be the most popular ascendancy in the coming 055 event. It's not even a question. Gimling is going to be the most popular ascendancy, so it kind of makes sense to just start grenade Gimling, but yeah, I don't know. We'll figure it out. All right, I think that will do it for us for today. I think that's our tentative plan. Probably something with Gimling. Push people toward Disciple, but we're definitely going to test it and
Now
make
we
sure
have
it's any
homework.
good. Yeah, basically now we have homework.
Yeah.
We're going to play around with probably like 3 or 4 things, but I think we're leaning in a Gimling grenade direction because that's super fun, right?
Yeah, and we'll be streaming next week for the patch.
Yeah, for the 055 event.
Yeah.
We'll definitely be playing that and streaming it, and we're going to be talking a bunch about PoE in the coming weeks.
Yeah, I feel like we're ramping up like to like really, really big stuff coming for this launch later this
Yeah.
year, because I wasn't expecting it to be later this year. I really feel like it's an ambitious goal, but I feel like if anybody can do it, it's GGG.
Absolutely.
Like, they've shown us that they can do so much with so little. Like
Yeah.
they have such a small team, and then they're like, and then here is this fully fledged game. It's like,
I
all
mean,
right.
even just them talking about the visuals of the like sword stuff, they're just, like, oh, did you bring in professional? Oh no, that's just Ed at the office.
No, we're just nerds.
Yeah.
Now we're just nerds,
Even
and we like swords.
even Jonathan and Mark both talking about this. This is something I noticed, and I wanted to like give them their props for that. They specifically said like, that character I was playing that's in the trailer or whatever. It's like, wow, the game director is the one doing the gaming and recording the footage to be used in a trailer or a gameplay, promo sequence.
I feel like
That's
that adds
really
such a nice
cool.
level of legitimacy to their game for me, because it's like,
Yeah.
when's the last time anybody at Blizzard played anything in WoW? Like I'm
Much
sure
less
some of
to the
them
point where they
play
were proud enough of
a
it
few
to record
hours.
it and use it as the promo footage for the new class that they're saying, check this out.
Exactly.
It's so cool.
Exactly.
That's right, Aiden.
But anyhow, all right. So I don't know if are we in a stream before then?
We'll figure it out as we go.
Okay. So stay tuned.
Yeah,
But
stay tuned.
if not before then we'll definitely be streaming for the event next week.
That's right. And it's going to be fun, and we're definitely going to have something about what builds you should play.
We're just trying to beat the
And what we should
allegations
play.
that this channel is fake and not related to the Path of Evening YouTube channel because
That's
it's
right.
named Larold Live.
That's right.
The only reason this channel is named Larold Live is because
I'm
Larold
alive.
had a channel with followers on it, and that helped us like jumpstart for Twitch,
It sure did.
partnership stuff.
Yep.
So
Shout out to those 100 followers I had from 10 or 12 years ago, 15 years ago.
Exactly. Anyway, all right. I think that'll do us for today.
That'll do us for today. Thanks everybody for tuning in and hanging out. What a stream, what a reveal. Can't wait for next week and the rest of the year, I guess.
Discord.
Yeah, and see you in Discord. Bye.
Bye.